to China 30 times make Tim Walz a communist?
I'm not saying it makes him a communist. I'm saying it could potentially show that he likes China for a reason. And that's not even my main piece of evidence. My main piece of evidence is the newspaper article that he was referenced in where he liked communism.
Okay, what does the newspaper article say?
I'm looking for it right now. Give me a sec.
Yeah, guys. So this is the newest MAGA cope. So they basically just have to conceive of a false, definition of communism, and they have to try to apply it to two people. Somehow, going to China makes you a communist, ladies and gentlemen. So just to let you know, Evan, does that mean that Trump is a communist because he has multiple Trump enterprises in China?
No, it doesn't make him a communist. I'm not saying it makes Walz a communist.
Oh shit! Wait, so then why would we apply that same different standard to Tim Walz?
Because that's the newspaper article. That's the real evidence.
The newspaper article. What the fuck is the newspaper article?
I'm looking for it right now, man. I'm sorry,
guys. The newspaper article really exposes Tim Walz. Everybody, for the 931 people listening, the newspaper article is going to expose Tim Walz, and that's a fact.
Sorry.
So do you have the newspaper article?
Okay. Yeah, I have it. Give me one sec.
We're waiting on the newspaper article. For the first 1,000 people in here, welcome into the stream, guys. Make sure that you're double tapping away in that phone screen. Make sure that you're sharing out this live with a couple friends today as well. Let's try to get up to 100,000 likes. We're just currently waiting for the newspaper article.
Okay, I'm about to read I can read the entire article. It might take a while. I could read like a little portion of it if you want.
I just want to know what the fuck you're talking about. You can't just say the newspaper article proves that Tim Walz is a communist. Like what? What newspaper article?
I mean, I'm really surprised you haven't seen it. I feel like it's been a part of the news cycle everywhere.
Wes, thank you so much for the $2 on Venmo for the newspaper article and the Swap Smarts.
I'm reading an article right now. I can't verify the source, but I'm reading an article. It's from freebeacon.com. Walz praised Chinese communism as a system where everyone shares. As a high school teacher in the 1990s, Democratic vice presidential candidate and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz appeared to extol life under Chinese communism, telling his students that it is a system in which everyone shares and gets free food and housing. It means that everyone is the same and everyone shares, Walz said during a lesson on China's communist system in November 1991. The doctor and the construction worker make the same. The Chinese government and the place they work for provide housing and 14 kilograms or about 30 pounds of rice per month. They get food and housing. Does that not sound like praising a communist system?
That sounds like explaining China's system.
Except
let's see what happened in the 90s. So in the 90s, Tim Walz explained to his students what China's economic system was. But then what also happened in the 90s was Donald Trump raped a woman.
Okay.
So which one is worse?
You can try to divert. We can talk about that. I'm all for it.
That's not a diversion at all. That's not a diversion at all. But I actually have a question for you. What do teachers do?
They teach. Okay, but
teachers teach. So when Tim Walz was 1 second, Evan, I'm still talking. So when Tim Walz was explaining, right, like particular like economic ideals upheld by China's government in the 90s, what was he doing?
He was teaching, but give me a chance to respond. The way he phrased what he said, put it in a positive light, and I think we can.
I actually see nothing that I see nothing that he said framing it with any particular bias. All I heard was an explanation.
Is good, man? Do you think it's good?
Wait, does Tim Walz think it's good?
The way he phrased it certainly sounds like he thinks it's good.
Wait, what particular vernacular phrasing did he use to imply that he thought it was good? Are you trying to stigmatize teaching right now?
No, it's not yes, he
Of course, yeah. No, you could only say, "Oh, he implied that he think it's good" by his phrasing. So could you like give me like a quote?
Depending on your
Hey, Evan, 1 second. I'm asking you a question. Can you give me a quote that obviously implies he thought it was good?
I wouldn't say any of the quotes obviously imply that he thinks it's good, but I think some of them can definitely imply that it's a good thing.
Like which quote? Like which quote?
It means that everyone is the same and everyone shares. How is that? He's phrasing communism as a good thing. I think
I don't hear in there. Well, I don't hear in there like where he's like implying that it's a good thing at all.
Saying that it's.
But I have a question for you now, Evan. I have a question for you. Which one is worse, saying that people in China share or literally violently sexually abusing a woman? Because one of those things Tim Walz did in the 90s, and the other one of those things Donald Trump did in the 90s. Could you tell me which one is worse?
The Trump one. I'll agree with that. I mean,
Okay. Okay. So wouldn't this give you reason to vote for like Kamala Harris and Tim Walz over Trump because what he did in the 90s was worse than what Tim Walz did in the 90s?
not a good enough reason for me, to be honest.
Oh wait, so Donald Trump raping a woman is not a good enough reason to make you vote for Harris, but Tim Walz explaining sharing in China is a good enough reason to get you to vote for Trump?
That's not my only reason for voting for Trump.
Oh, okay. But real quick, if Donald Trump had raped a little girl in the 90s, would that be a good enough reason for you to vote for Harris over him?
Like, what I want is what's best for the country. And yes, Donald Trump has done some horrible things.
You mind answering my question?
Repeat it.
Of course you have to have me repeat it because you weren't listening. If Donald Trump raped a little girl instead of an adult woman in the 90s, would you still vote for him?
Yes, because it's what's best for the country.
If he raped your little sister, would you still vote for him?
Well, that's different because it's a personal thing. I would obviously have a bigger bias if it was my little sister, which I don't have a sister, but...
Oh my god. Dude, I'm so fucking sorry. Okay, tell me why you'd vote for Trump if he had raped a little girl. I'm very curious.
Because of his foreign affairs policy. I think the economics are more convoluted. I think, like, economically, I could probably go either way. But foreign affairs, I think Trump just blows Kamala Harris out of the water.
How so?
Well, in his, he successfully eliminated, or he eliminated ISIS and Al-Qaeda under, not Al-Qaeda, ISIS. He eliminated the threat of ISIS under his administration. He put sanctions on Iran, which prevented them from, providing other terrorist organizations with money, which decreased terrorism significantly in the Middle East. And by everyone said, all the liberals say, oh, he's soft on Russia. You guys know that having good domestic relations with a foreign adversary can result in them doing less harm to the entire world, right?
Oh, so you're a Russian bot. That's what you are. Okay. So for everybody on the live, no wonder Evan would vote for Trump even if he had raped a little girl because he's a Russian sympathizer. So see, that's what it is. So what I've noticed recently is Russian sympathizers just baselessly applying the word communist to Tim Walz and Kamala Harris and then turn around and say that it's a good thing to be Putin's puppet. You know what I mean? Putin's puppet, 110%. Trump believed Putin's word of mouth over U.S. intelligence in Helsinki. We have leaked Kremlin documents that suggest Putin thinks Trump is easy to manipulate. He is absolutely Putin's puppet.
I mean, sure, you could say that. There were good foreign affairs with Russia. There were no wars caused by Russia, and that's because of Donald Trump's good, positive relationship with
No,
Putin.
that's an assumption. That is absolutely a baseless assumption.
Well, just look at the two administrations. In one of them,
do a
that's
correlation
war.
causation fallacy. Okay, I'm gonna look at the two administrations.
Okay, then
Under
what
Trump,
caused
we
the-
had the
what
highest
caused the
rate of
war?
1 second. Under Trump, we had the highest rate of unemployment since the Great Depression. Under Biden and Harris, we've had the
COVID.
lowest rate
It's
of
a COVID.
unemployment since in the last 50 years. I don't think that it was because of COVID that we had the highest rate of unemployment since the Great Depression. It was because Trump's a meanie poopy head.
Well, then why? Other than COVID.
Exactly. Do you see how I can't just make a baseless, trivial, emotionally driven
No, I see, but
assumption
there's
based
a-
upon data? 1 second. Don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. Based upon data as provided in a set, right? And that's exactly what you'd be doing, right, with foreign affairs, particularly with Russia.
But there's a clear thing that obviously caused the unemployment. Can you name a clear thing that caused the invasion to happen right when Biden became president?
Wait, you saying that there's a clear thing that obviously caused the high rate of unemployment, right, doesn't discount the fact that you'd still be making a correlation causation fallacy here. The burden wouldn't be on me to say, well, this is the causal factor that would be linked to this thing. The burden would be on you to provide the causal factor. And as you can't provide the causal factor of being the Biden-Harris administration without any sufficient reason, right, we just discount your argument as a whole. But maybe I could explain how we could rule that causal factor out. For instance, does Russia want expansion?
They want to prevent NATO from expanding onto, their
Does
border.
Russia want expansion?
Yes.
Russia wants expansion. Does Russia want Trump to be president?
I believe so. But that's the same thing. Correlation.
So
and
Russia
that's the same
wants
thing.
expansion. and Russia wants Trump to be president.
They
So
could
that
want
would
Trump to be
mean
president
that
for
those
many
two
reasons.
goals would coincide with one another.
Not necessarily.
Necessarily, right? Because we'd see leaked Kremlin documents that would suggest that Putin thinks Trump is easy to manipulate, alongside evidence for this claim being that Trump believed Putin's word of mouth over U.S. intelligence at Helsinki.
Okay. I mean, I believe that in terms of foreign affairs, if you can have, this is just a general precedent, if you can have a good relationship with your enemy or with someone that's not necessarily a good country that you're allied with, it can prevent them from doing bad things. I feel like that's common sense.
Bow the knee to the dictator, bow the knee to the person who kills his political opponents, bow the knee to the person who kills GAY people for being GAY, bow the knee to the tyrannical dictator that leads a regime of war crimes and genocidal intents against little kids in Ukraine, bow the knee. Do you see how insane that sounds? Like, listen, I think that we should have, like,
to give you evidence.
I think that we should have like multiple right focuses, especially when we're referencing foreign affairs, right? I think that we should have like some right intention of like functioning diplomacy with other countries, right, including countries that do things that we disagree with, right? Because I think that we need working, contingent, and conditional relationships with countries across the globe, right, to help them hold themselves to a higher standard of you know, like virtuous, right, of virtuousness. Right, but then at the same time, I don't think that this would imply that bowing the knee to a foreign dictator such as Putin is a good thing. But anyways, right, maybe I could ask you a question here. Yeah, would you ever vote for someone that's attempted to stage a coup to overthrow our government in an attempt to rig an election before?
I don't support that.
That's not
But
the question I asked you.
you didn't let me complete my answer. If I support the individual and I believe that he'll be best for the entire world and the country, yes, I would.
Okay, so would you vote for a rapist who's attempted to stage a coup to overthrow our government and rig the outcome of a federal election before?
My ideology, my ideology applies to that as well.
Would you vote for a felon, misogynistic, racist rapist who's attempted to stage a coup to overthrow our government, overthrow our democracy, and rig an election?
How is he racist?
Yeah, well, sure, that's crazy that you draw your line there, but I mean, good to know.
I don't
there's
draw my
some
line
good
there.
bones
I
on your
just wanna
body.
know he's racist.
Oh, you don't draw your line there.
I just want to know he's racist. I'd like to know.
Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, sure. We could reference examples from the 1970s when he denied housing opportunity to black people because they were black. We could reference the 2012 through 2014 when he said because Barack Obama's black, that means he obviously wasn't born in the U.S., which means he shouldn't be able to run for president. He referenced black people's N-words on the TV show Apprentice. He referenced quote-unquote black jobs. What's a black job? He said that Kamala Harris turned black. When did she turn black? When did I turn white? Right? He's obviously racist.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll still vote for him because he'll be what's best for the country. That's what matters the most to me.
Okay, so just real quick.
You know Kamala Harris's father's a
One
Marxist.
second, Evan. Yeah, did you know that Donald Trump's father, Fred Trump, admitted to working with the Russian mafia and got arrested at a KKK rally?
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
So which one is worse, admitting to working with the Russian mafia and being a racist, literal KKK member, or being an economics professor that likes Marxism?
Probably the former.
Oh, really? You can't tell me which one of those two things is worse?
I said the former.
What does that mean?
The first one you said.
Okay, phenomenal.
Surprised you don't know.
Anyways, so can you go ahead and explain to me how the racist, misogynistic rapist that has attempted to stage a coup to overthrow our government, overthrow our democracy in an attempt to rig the outcome of an election is better than Kamala Harris, the individual that wants to fight for the freedoms and liberties of all Americans, especially the 170 million American women and girls that deserve federally protected access to abortion, the low and the middle tax and the low and middle class and tax cuts for them, right? As well as she wants to protect and preserve our democracy.
I already told you with the foreign affairs. That's my reason.
Foreign affairs. So you're just going to vote for Trump over Kamala Harris, right? Regardless of all the things that we just talked about, because he's Russia's puppet.
Well, I certainly believe that Trump is also definitely better on the border crisis as well.
Wait, do you think that we have a border crisis today?
Not necessarily, but throughout the presidency of Joe Biden, there certainly has been. Not necessarily right now. I know the statistic you're about to cite because I hear you guys. Literally, you, Harry, and fucking Parker, and everyone, all of these debaters, It's like a fucking formula. You guys just say the same thing over and over and over. It's actually ridiculous. It's so funny.
You and
It's
everybody
so
who comes
funny.
up on my live, Parker's live, Harry's live, and Chris's live say the same thing over and over and over again. When y'all are making the same points continuously speaking, of course we're going to continue to give the same answers, right?
Okay,
We're
but
not repeating the script, you are.
no,
Right? And the fact that you have watched our live so many times, insofar as you being incredibly familiar with the points that we continue to make, and you still continue to make the same shitty points yourself, right? That doesn't speak right negatively of me. If anything, that speaks negatively of you.
it's genuinely so formulaic. Like it's literally the same question. Would you vote for a rapist? Would you vote for? It's it's kind of. It's
Okay,
just.
so you're saying that it's a
formula.
formula, and we ask you the same questions, yet you can't respond to them?
I have responded to them. You've asked them, and I've responded.
No, actually, you haven't responded to my question. So you said that we don't have a border crisis today, right? So why would you say that you'd be voting for Trump over Harris if it's the case that we don't have a border crisis today?
Because throughout the presidency, there's been a border crisis.
Okay, do you know what it was caused by?
Yeah, because Biden has a policy that allows that while people are getting their American citizenship.
Aisha, thank you so much for the $50 on PayPal. Holy shit! I want to see at least 300 W's for Aisha in the chat. Thank you so much for the $50 on PayPal. That is so kind of you. Thank you so much. Massive W's for Aisha in that chat. Thank you so much for the $50. That means the world to me. Thank you so much, Aisha. W's for Aisha down below, ladies and gentlemen. Massive W's. Good.
Yeah. So under Trump, there was a policy where while you were trying to obtain citizenship, you weren't allowed into America. And that was changed under Biden. So that resulted in more people who were being processed and didn't yet have permission to enter to be allowed to enter America, which
Do
resulted
you know
in
what the
more
name of that
processing.
policy was?
What? Go ahead.
It's called the Remain in Mexico policy. Yeah, that was influenced as like a day one policy of Trump's, right? We see that it actually didn't impede upon border crossings. We only saw border crossings rise until the implementation of Title 42 under Trump's presidency, right? And that only kept about 1,000 people in Mexico. Okay, so it didn't even affect that many people as a whole. We'd see that the expiration of Title 42, the clampdown on the southern border because of COVID, was what caused the crisis. Think of the border like a river. Think of Title 42 like a dam. When you remove a dam from the river, the water gushes through. Just like when you remove Title 42 from the border, we see that rates of migration across it will rise significantly because people were turned around for 2 years, told they couldn't come in because of Title 42. And when we also consider the economic disparities onset in Southern Latin American countries, because specifically of COVID, we would expect, right, like a very high rate of crossings once Title 42 expired. And that's exactly what happened. And that's exactly what Biden and Harris then tried to influence to stop through bipartisan legislation in Congress. But guess what happened was Trump called the Republicans and the Senate and the House, told them to vote against this bipartisan border legislation because he wanted the crisis to continue so he can campaign on it today.
Okay, so if you're saying that...
Corey, thank you so much for the $5 on Venmo. I appreciate you for the love. Let's get some W's in the chat for Corey.
If you're saying that due to Title 42, that's what caused the crossings to be low. I mean, in 2017 and 2018, before that was implemented, the crossings were still low.
We actually only saw year-over-year increases in the daily border crossings under Trump until Title 42 is implemented.
Yeah, but it was still at a low number.
Well, I mean, it's just going to be subjective. You're just going to say that it was at a low
Right,
number.
sure, of
And if
course
you think that
there's-
was at a low number, well, then you'd also say that we have low numbers now because we do have the same amount of daily border crossings today as we had prior to the implementation of Title 42 and at the end of Trump's term.
Sure.
But that actually didn't respond to a single point that I made.
Okay, well, in terms of, Trump's interference with the bill, I don't support that. I don't think he should be interfering when he's not in office.
Okay, so you'd recognize that occurred. So I have a question for you. If your house was burning down and a fire truck showed up and they asked if they could put out the fire and you told them to turn around because you wanted your house to continue to burn so you could claim the insurance money, did you care about your house?
It's a different thing.
It's an analogy, Evan, I know. Crazy concept, so go ahead and respond to it.
I mean, in that situation, no, sure, and no.
Okay, so if the southern border is metaphorically burning down, there's a crisis at it, and the fire truck, the bipartisan border bill, shows up to Congress, and Trump tells them to turn around or to shoot it down because he wants to claim the insurance money or, campaign on the fact that we have a continued crisis. Did he really care about the southern border?
Look, I told you I don't agree with what he did. It's a bad thing. I agree.
Okay, so not only do you
he's a
disagree with what Trump
narcissistic
did,
person.
but you'd also recognize here that Trump doesn't even care about the southern border.
I think he's a narcissist, if that's what you're trying to imply.
So do you recognize that he doesn't care about the southern border?
Not necessarily. I think he
Okay,
cares
well, what
about
would be the
himself.
split in the logic there? Because I gave you a
Sorry, can I say
I gave you a
something?
logically analogous scenario where you'd say that if you let the house burn down, you didn't care about the house.
can respond.
So why wouldn't we say the same thing about the southern border?
Because he cares about himself more than the southern border. It's not that he doesn't care about the southern border, it's that he cares about himself more.
Okay, well, could you give me the break in the logic? Because in the logically analogous scenario I gave you, you said if you let the house burn down to claim the insurance money, right, that would mean that you wouldn't care about the house. So very similarly, if Trump let the crisis at the
you
southern
care
border
more
continue,
about the insurance money than the house. Doesn't mean you don't care about the house at all. It means you care more.
I think it
about
would.
the money.
I think that it would imply that you wouldn't care about the house. But I mean, even if we follow your logic, well, I mean, why do you want to vote for
If the
Trump when he
house is worth
continuously places himself above the American
$800,000,
people?
if the house is worth $800,000 and the insurance money is $1 million, that's just an example. You might still care about the house, but you care about the money more because it's worth more.
Okay. Well, I mean, even if it is the case that Trump may care about himself more than our country, why would you want to vote for someone that cares about themselves more than their country, that continuously places themselves above it?
So I don't care about his personality. I care that it'll help the country.
Wait,
And
how
just
is he
because
going to
he
help the
cares-
country when last time he was president, he literally staged the biggest internal attack on our federal government since the Civil War?
I already told you I don't support that. But throughout
Yeah, but my question here is how could he help the country when last time he was president, he staged the biggest internal attack on our country since the Civil War?
What do you mean how? You think anything he's done in the past just completely eliminates anything he could do in the future? What type of logic is that? Just because he did something bad in the past, yes, I agree it's bad, doesn't mean he's not going to do good things now.
Wait, I think the claim would be that Kamala Harris would do better things, right? And yes, past behaviors are predictive of future ones. And if when he was president last time, he stress tested the boundaries of our civil and electoral processes, he tried to rig and overthrow our government with the use of a violent coup and an insurrection to legitimize himself as a fake president, right? By ignoring the votes cast by every single American, right? I'd say that obviously he doesn't care about the country. He's going to place himself above the country in every single conceivable scenario. Another example where we continuously see this is going to be in his incessant lies. He told over 30,000 lies during his presidency. He told the biggest lie ever told by a sitting president with his denial of the outcome of the 2020 election, and he has incessantly lied to his voter base since. He constantly manipulates reality around him and takes advantage of it when he can to give his voter base more reasons to vote for him, just blatantly lying, right? A really good example of this would be when he said that the 2-day correction we had in the stock market was the Kamala crash, right? He has never associated the current administration with the all-time highs we've had in the stock market. He spoke out against that, said it was just caused by natural economic growth. But then as soon as we have a 2-day correction where things drop by 5%, all of a sudden this was totally caused and influenced by Kamala Harris. But guess what? 2 days later, when it corrected and shot right back up, blind, okay? And yeah, I mean, I think when you have, got yourself to admitting that he tried to stage a coup to overthrow our government, you got yourself to admitting that he wanted the crisis at the southern border to continue so you can campaign on it today. And when you've got yourself to admitting that he's incessantly lied more than any other president we've ever had, and a misinformed electoral base is the Achilles tendon of a democracy, what good reason do you have to vote for him?
Well, I tried to do this throughout your entire speech or whatever you would like to call that. I'll address what you said at the start. You said that past behavior is an indicator of future behavior. And that's actually, you kind of, in a way, you made an argument against yourself. Because when we look at Trump's presidency, I think whether it's due to, economically, I'll agree he did get a bit lucky going into it. But the economy was good under Trump. Foreign affairs were good under Trump. The border was not a huge issue under Trump.
Yeah, well, I said past behavior is predictive of future behavior.
Exactly.
And I'd say that Trump's behavior didn't influence, right, the economic prosperity that we had in his first 3 years.
Okay. My point still applies to foreign affairs and the border. I don't see how you could say that he didn't influence.
Actually, it does. I mean, it could
apply.
apply to foreign affairs, but it just make you look bad, right? His behavior towards foreign affairs was being Putin's puppet, literally believing him over U.S. intelligence at Helsinki. Why do you want a leader who believes a foreign dictator that kills his political opponents over our own U.S. intelligence?
Well, I already told you my opinion on that. I think good domestic relations with foreign adversaries can result in them being more peaceful and being more open to negotiate with us when it comes to foreign affairs.
Wait, but I think he displayed, I think that there's a difference between good foreign relations, right, and being like the lapdog of a dictator, right?
I mean,
I think that there's a difference between good negotiations and being easily manipulated, as leaked Kremlin documents would suggest. But you also didn't really respond to any of the points that I made here. I think at the end of the day, you don't really have a single clue about why you're voting for Trump, but you engage in tribalism and political bias because of partisan media and the partisan state of the country today. And insofar as you even self-admittingly said that you would vote for a grapist, felon, wannabe dictator that has attempted to stage a coup to overthrow our government and our democracy, over Kamala Harris for some unknown reason.
Yeah, because I already told you. I feel like I'm just repeating myself, but the most important thing to me is what they're going to do in office, not what they've done outside of office.
Right,
Look,
and these are all
he's
things
a
that
bad
they've done in
person. I
office.
agree.
Like while he was in office last time, he tried to overthrow the government. While he was in office last time, he increased income inequities. While he was in office last time, he influenced the Supreme Court to take federal protections away from access to healthcare for all 170 million American women and girls. While he was in office last time, he caused greater levels of political division and highest levels of civil unrest that we've had since the Civil War. While he was in office last time, what's that?
I'm pro-choice.
Okay, well, I mean, shouldn't that issue alone give you reason to vote for Harris over Trump?
No, it's not the biggest issue to me at all.
If you're pro-choice, I think it should be.
I am pro-choice. I mean, personally, I'm against it, but I believe that it should be.
Yeah. I mean, so please
decision.
tell me a bigger issue, than like saving the 100,000 women who had been raped and were not allowed access to abortions in the last 2.5 years because of Trump abortion bans. What is a bigger issue than that?
Foreign affairs. World War II.
Oh, World War III. So
Yeah.
do you think if Harris is elected that World War III is going to start? So if
No,
Trump
I
is
don't.
elected, the
Not
Death Star is going to
necessarily.
come down to Earth and blow it up with its massive lasers. Kels, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for the love. Let's get some W's in the chat for Kels. Yeah, guys, if Trump is elected, the Death Star is going to come down to Earth and blow it up with its massive lasers, ladies and gentlemen.
I shouldn't have said World War III. I believe foreign affairs will be better under Trump compared to Kamala. There.
Yeah, and you've given me no reason to believe that would be the case.
I already told you he sanctioned Iran, and that resulted in Iran not being able to supply.
Betsy, I really appreciate you for the $10 on Venmo to help pay for World War III. I really appreciate you for the money for the $10. Let's get some W's in the chat for Betsy.
Can I
appreciate you for
can I make a point and then you can respond to it on the foreign affairs?
You're all over the place.
Look,
I'm just gonna move on to the next guest. Dude, you're all over the fucking place. Let's go and see what our next guest has to say. For the 2.6 thousand people in here, make sure that we're double tapping away on that phone screen. We're going to move on to our next guest. Let's go and see what our next guest has to say, y'all. If you're voting for Trump, make sure to spam MAGA down below, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get our next guest up in here literally right now, folks. Let's go and see what our next guest has to say. I got Mikey loading up in the live right now. Hey, what's up? How old are you?
35.
Are you voting for Trump?
Yes, because
Okay,
what has Harris and Biden done the past 4 years that they've been in office? Name 3 things that they have done.
Sure. PACT Act, CHIPS and Science Act, and Infrastructure Bill.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Since you did a scenario, right? Let's say you were on the verge of getting hurt by someone and they defunded the police. The police cannot be there to help you. That's what Kamala's trying to do. She's trying to defund the police, right?
Okay, we could talk about that. So first of all, I think that calling the defund the police movement defund the police was just a bad decision. Barack Obama actually agrees with me. He wrote a whole co-op on this. So maybe I could give you some leeway there. But defund the police doesn't actually mean to take money away from our police forces. All that it implies is the reallocation of funds to make the police better optimized to serve for more scenarios.
Better optimized for better scenarios.
Yeah, in fact, I think
There's a whole bunch of scenarios in the world that goes on every single day, and it takes a response time for a police officer about 35 minutes to an hour. And on the phone call, you're on the phone for 25 minutes waiting for that police officer to come to your house. Doesn't matter what
like
the
defund the police movement would essentially make it so like police forces are better apt to like handle like particular scenarios where it doesn't need a man with a gun because someone is having like a mental breakdown, or it would like be better fit to like send social workers out to like maybe some scenarios or like custody disputes. You know what I mean? Defund the police doesn't mean take away money from police forces to make their response time slower. I'd actually personally hold the view that we should be delegating more money into these areas. I think that police should have better training. They should have to go to school for longer, and being a cop should be revered, such as being a lawyer. I don't think that cops are people that the community should be scared of. Cops are people that the community should look up as superheroes, and that would require better distribution and reallocation of funding, and then more funding as a whole, right? But like the movement defund the police doesn't mean take away their money and make them worse off. It literally means add more money and reallocate it to make them better off. But I understand like why you would come up here and say, oh, it's called defund the police, that means that they must want to take their money away. I don't think that we should have called that movement defund the police. I agree with you. So like I'm not gonna fault you for trying to make that argument. Like it's called defund the police. Obviously, without more information, you're gonna assume that that means take their money away.
Wasn't assuming taking the money away. But okay, so my next question. During the Biden administration, didn't Joe Biden administration send $57 billion of our tax-earned money to Ukraine? But then what about the people of the United States that are suffering? Kamala Harris is having immigrants from different countries coming in, giving them free housing, giving them free jobs, giving them free cars, giving them free health care.
So there's just lie. You just told 3 lies in a row.
That's not a lie.
Can you give me a source that would indicate that Kamala Harris is giving like undocumented migrants free houses and cars?
Give me 1 sec.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, he'll recognize that that's a lie. Anyways, for the 2.8 thousand people in here, welcome into the live. Y'all make sure that we're double tapping away in that phone screen. If you want to support me, my Venmo, my PayPal, they are in the bio. Get 100% of the proceeds on that platform. Also, y'all, my birthday's coming up next week. I'm so excited. I didn't even know it was next week. It came up fast.
So what about the $52 billion that's sent over to Ukraine and not helping the United States United States people of our tax-earned money? The Biden administration helped Ukraine, but not us.
Yeah. So I mean, we could talk about that. First of all, your claim is just wrong. They helped Ukraine and they helped us. I mean, they passed.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, 1 second. So they passed 4 massive pieces of legislation that benefited the low and the middle class more so than rich people. The Chips and Science Act brought manufacturing jobs back here at home in America, 20% of global chip production by 2030. The PACT Act invested nearly $1 billion into the expansion of VA healthcare benefits. The infrastructure bill invested $1 trillion into local communities across the U.S. to stimulate local growth alongside construction and more manufacturing jobs. The Inflation Reduction Act invested millions of dollars into renewable energy resources to fix supply chain issues to reduce inflation in the long term. But about the money that we specifically sent to Ukraine, right, that's because we had a contractual obligation to do so through the Budapest Memorandum that we signed with them in the 90s. But it's funny that you're yapping about Ukraine when we actually have sent more money to Israel, and Trump is proposing that we should send even more. But, you know, about helping the American people, let me ask you a question. Can you name one policy that Trump influenced get passed that benefited the low and the middle class more than it benefited rich people?
He's helped inflation, and we had the lowest gas prices in the United States when Trump was in office. Right now, the inflation is extremely up. We're paying $4 for a thing of eggs and almost $4 for gas. When Biden or Trump was in office, we were paying like $2 for gas. So
things cost less while he was president. So if Bill Clinton was running today against Trump, would you vote for Bill Clinton?
You can't go back to people that were running before him. It's not about what Donald Trump did in the past or what the people did in the past. It's about the 2 presidents that are running for right now. You can't sit there and say, well, whams, if this person was office. No, it's not the people that are going to be in office. You can't contradict the question by saying if this person is in office. You can't go back to what the other people were doing. It doesn't matter what Bill Clinton did in office when he was in office. It doesn't matter.
I was just using your logic against you. So that's
but you're not using my logic against me. You're trying to sit there and make it.
That's what we call correlation causation fallacy. Just because one thing has happened under Biden and Harris's administration doesn't mean they caused it. But I mean, if we want to use your logic, does that mean that Trump caused the highest rate of unemployment that we've had since the Great Depression
He
in
actually really
April of
didn't.
2020?
He actually really didn't. More people had more jobs when Trump was in office than
Okay,
Biden did because
Mikey.
the
Mikey,
coronavirus
one second.
started in January of
One second,
2020.
buddy. First of all, that claim is descriptively wrong. We've had lower rates of unemployment under the Biden-Harris administration. Second of all, I want to go back to my question that you seemingly refused to answer. So in April of 2020, we had the highest rate of unemployment since the Great Depression, and that was under Trump's presidency. Does that mean that Trump caused that?
That's because there was a thing called coronavirus that was made by the United States or the China government to kill off population control. The coronavirus was set in April 2020 when he was president.
Okay. So first of all, like crazy claim. Second of all, if you think that the coronavirus can cause unemployment, you think that it's possible that the coronavirus could cause inflation?
No, actually, I can't.
Okay.
How can
So
it
then,
cause inflation?
no, I have a
when the
question. So
president
what
is the one
caused
that tells you
inflation?
What the gas prices are?
I have a question, Mikey. So then what caused the global inflation that occurred in every single country, everywhere across the world at the same time?
It's called the Biden administration made it so that we're $12 trillion in debt. We're $12 trillion in debt. When Trump was president, we were nowhere near $12 trillion in debt.
Okay, first of all, we're actually not $12 trillion in debt. We're $24 trillion in debt. And second of all, Trump's administration added more to that than Biden and Harris's. They added $8.6 trillion, 4.6 in non-COVID related expenditure. Meanwhile, Biden-Harris administration added $4.5 trillion, 2.2 trillion in non-COVID related expenditure. And Kylie, thank you so much for the $5 on Venmo. Let's get some W's in the chat for Kylie. I really appreciate you for that love.
Are you done? Where are you getting these facts? Where are you reading these facts?
Yeah, the Committee for Financial for a Responsible Federal Budget. Sorry.
Okay. A week ago, what was going on in the United States? A week ago, what did Trump do that Kamala, or whatever her name is?
I can tell you what her name is. Her name is Kamala.
I really don't care what her name is. And you made a point. You made a point about the Indian and the black part of Kamala, right? Or Kamala, right?
Oh my God, you
But
can't
no,
even
wait, hold
fucking
on.
pronounce her name.
Evan, you said to Evan that Kamala was never black. Didn't she sit there and tell everybody in the black community that Beyonce was going to perform at her concert, at her rally, to get the black community to come in to see her rally?
Where I didn't make the claim that Kamala Harris was never black. In fact, that's the claim that Donald Trump made, and I brought that up right to make an example of Donald Trump's racism.
It's not racism because then she said that she was Indian heritage. So at first she's saying that she was black. Now she's saying that she's Indian heritage, and then
So
she's trying to.
maybe
she's
we need
trying
to
stop
explain we need to explain a second grade concept to Mikey, ladies and gentlemen.
second grade concept.
So everybody in chat, get your pencils out, get your papers out, right? Sit in your seat. We're gonna now enter into a second grade classroom. Some of us haven't been here for a long time. So do you know what it means to be biracial?
Yes.
What does it mean to be biracial?
To be racist against every kind.
Repeat that.
To be racist against every kind. Black, white, Hispanic, Indian, whatever.
No. So first of all, being Indian, that's not a race. Second of all, being biracial doesn't mean you're racist against multiple races.
Can you just stop laughing?
Did you just say that being biracial means you're racist against multiple races?
Can you just explain your concept and stop laughing at people? I'm sorry that you're more intelligent than 95% of the fucking community. You think you're better than everybody else.
Yeah, bro. I'm sorry. That was just a funny answer. I'm not gonna lie. That was kind of funny. But real quick, Julia, thank you so much for these $6 and the 66 cents on Venmo. Let's get some W's in the chat for Julie. Thank you so much for the $6 and the 66 cents on Venmo. That was actually pretty fucking funny. Okay, so being biracial means that you're multiple races. So Kamala Harris is both black and South Asian simultaneously.
But then why did she say she was Indian heritage?
Because she is. She has Indian heritage, yeah.
But you didn't just say that. You said that she was Asian and black. You didn't say that she was Indian. And when I say that she said she was Indian, you agree with me.
What do you think South Asian means?
You're from Asia.
Is
South
the country,
Asian, you're Asian, but not an Indian.
Okay. I have a question. What continent is the country of India in?
Europe.
Mikey. Mikey, do we need to look at a map?
No.
India's not in Europe.
Okay, so can you answer my question about
Hey, thank you for the lock and key. I appreciate you for the love. Oh dear God. Yeah, Mikey, what's your question, man?
So she wants to stop people smoking weed, right?
Oh Jesus Christ, you caught us straight. I gotta kick you, man. But no, just to let you know, she doesn't. Right? She actually supported bipartisan partisan legislation in the Senate in
Oh,
2018.
Dean, thanks for having me up. I appreciate you.
Hey, no worries. Are you voting for Trump?
I am an undecided voter. I just wanted to just ask you.
Lazzy, I'm so sorry. Please join my Discord and DM me or at me in the chat. On here, I am just looking to talk to decided voters. I think undecided voters are very important, though. So please join my Discord and reach out to me over there. And hopefully I could kind of change your mind and sway you one way or another just by, like talking to these people today. What's up, Fishing? How old are you?
17.
No, you're not. We're going to move on to our next guest here, y'all. Everybody, just give us a minute here. We're going to get our next guest up in here, y'all. But yeah, please, if you're undecided, please join my Discord. I'd love to talk to you all, including you, Lazzy. Please do. Sydney, thank you so much for the $5 on Venmo saying that Mikey has to be trolling. I know, there's literally no way. W's for Mikey in the chat. What's up? How old are you?
30.
30. Are you voting for Trump?
Yes, I am.
Okay, why so?
Well, because it seems the left can't get it right.
Okay, that was a very arbitrary statement. Do you mind if expanding a little bit?
Okay, so what are we, a democracy or a republic?
So we are both a democracy and a republic simultaneously, because a
Nope.
constitutional republic is a representative democracy.
Democracy means view of the majority. We're not
So,
a democracy.
So
Yes.
no.
Look it up.
Jorgen, I appreciate you for the $5 on Venmo, correctly explaining biracial to this grown
Constitutional
man. I
republic has
appreciate you for the
democratic
$5
views.
on
We
Venmo.
may be able to vote only because of the Constitution, which is invoked throughout the states.
Okay,
I'm busy.
so what you just defined as a democracy, that's called a direct democracy, which is a form of a democracy. But a representative democracy is where you have representatives that are voted
Dude.
in based upon the popular view, represent the vote of the constituents. And what do we call that? A republic. So fun.
Okay,
Anyways,
so, but
you
we're
said that
not
the left
defined
can't
as
get
a
it.
democracy.
Hey, 1 second, buddy. So in his rally in Michigan, Donald Trump said that he took a bullet for a democracy. Did Donald Trump get it wrong?
Yes, he did. I would tell him that to his face.
Oh, but I thought you said the left can't get it right. But we saw
Well,
that Donald
not
Trump said he took
everybody's
a bullet for a
perfect.
democracy.
Not everybody's perfect.
Oh, so it's
The
actually the
left
right
seems
that
to
can't
get it
right.
wrong more. The left seems to get it wrong more. In fact, you were talking about statistics of inflation earlier. I actually have a chart, if you'll let me put it up, that shows you that Biden caused more inflation than Trump did.
I don't think that a graph of the rate of inflation will prove that Biden caused higher levels of inflation. I think it'll just show that we've had higher levels of inflation. But maybe I'll ask you this question: how did Biden cause inflation?
Well, when you shut down the Keystone Pipeline, when you shut down all energy for the basic American, when you forgot about the middle class.
Okay, so we're actually producing more oil now than we ever have been before.
Really? Because
And
you banned
Biden-
onshore drilling.
Okay, 1 second. That's also a lie. So we're producing more oil now than we ever have been before. Currently sitting at about 13.3 million barrels of oil per day domestically produced, when the highest we ever had under Trump was about 12.5. It's also the case that he's approved more drilling on federal land than Trump's administration did by about 50%. And Biden shut down the Keystone XL pipeline because of an order from the Supreme Court. And that couldn't have caused the price of oil to increase, as it wasn't currently producing oil, so couldn't have decreased supply.
Yeah, I watched on day one. On his day one, I watched. He literally bragged about shutting down Keystone Pipeline. There was no Supreme Court order.
There definitely was. I could. Give
There
you
was
multiple-
not. I watched.
Yeah, I'll give you multiple sources here. So we could reference Politico Pro. We could reference Wall Street Journal. We could reference AP News. Right. You could just simply look up the decision from the Supreme Court that led to the Keystone XL pipeline being shut down.
And why is that? What was the reasoning behind it?
Yeah, it's because it crossed over indigenous lands.
Okay, I'll take that one. I'll research that one. I don't know much about that, but I'll take that one. But my point is, like, okay, I'm just going to ask because I don't really get a chance to ask this. Why would Kamala Harris say she needs to fix
Her name's
things?
Kamala.
I don't care. Honestly. I mean, if I knew her in person, I would care more, but I don't know her in person.
Nate, thank you for the good afternoon. I appreciate you for the love. Go ahead.
Anyway, so if the vice president decided she wants to, like, she's running, right? And says she needs to fix things
Yep.
on day one, but everything's so great to the left, what's there to fix? Is my question.
I mean, do you want me to, like, tell you?
Yeah, I mean, if everything's so great for y'all right now, the economy's great, everything's
I don't-
fine
I
and
don't
dandy,
think
what's
that
there to
everything is
fix?
So great, fine, and dandy.
Really? Because when I talk to people, let me ask you, is the economy good?
Is the economy good? I mean, it's getting better. It's definitely growing. It's not where I'd like it to be, though.
Okay, so, but let me ask you a question. Us in the position we are, and then 5 years ago or 6 years ago, even in 2020, 4 years ago, we still had better economic numbers than what we do now. So
We
why
did
is
not
Trump?
have better economic numbers in 2020?
Yes, we
than
did.
Now.
Yes,
No,
we did.
in 2020, we literally had the highest rate of unemployment since the Great Depression.
Yeah,
and we were
because
15%.
your government shut it down.
Who controlled the government?
Don't tell me
Funny.
that, because it's
Funny.
checks and balances.
Funny. Okay, so now it's all about the checks and balances. But my
It
question
always
to you
has
would
been.
be, how can you say that we had better economic indicators in 2020 than we had now, when we had the highest rate of unemployment since the Great
Yeah,
Depression?
because of
in
COVID.
2020? Wait, that doesn't change. That was an economic indicator that was definitely worse in 2020, right? We could, like, say what caused it to be the case.
So go
I'm
back
not
to
saying Trump caused it to
2019.
be the case. There you go. Sure, I'd say that we had a better economy pre-COVID than we would have now, right? But how did Biden and Harris cause us to have a worse economy?
All the shutdowns that still implemented when COVID was over in 2021 after the vaccine that they
What
said
shutdowns did they
won
implement?
all. Schools were shut down, and I'm a witness to that
I'm
because
telling you, no. I'm asking you what specific shutdowns were caused via direct order from the president, from the presidency.
small businesses suffered.
We
Little
saw small
cafe
businesses
shops.
suffer the most in 2020 under Trump.
And look at who Chuck Schumer
Does that mean
threatening to
that
shut
Trump
down
caused
the
the
government
shutdowns?
if he didn't shut down the government.
One second.
One second.
Did Trump cause the COVID-related shutdowns in 2020?
No.
So then how would Biden and Harris cause any of the COVID-related shutdowns after 2020? Crazy.
My point
Just use
is-
logic. My point is you don't know what logic is.
I do, and I don't appreciate being insulted because I haven't insulted you.
Oh, I'm so sorry for the terrible insult. Jesus, get a load of this guy. Go ahead.
Wow, this is a generation that's going to be ruling me for years to come. That's the scary
Oh, wait, so
thought.
you don't think that people that are, like, kind of rude and condescending should be ruling you? So then why are you voting for the felon, rapist, misogynist, racist, narcissistic,
He hasn't been rude to me.
pathological liar?
I'd be rude to you too if you called me a liar and you didn't accept the truth.
Oh, he hasn't been rude to you, so you don't care about it.
No, y'all
Okay,
are all
so
literally emotional
do you
over
like care
Trump.
about? Wait, do you like care about white supremacists?
No, I don't.
Do you care about, like, Nazis?
No, I don't. And I don't care about communists either, but apparently Trump's one of those too.
Okay, so you, like, care about me, like, saying that you don't know how to use logic, but you don't care about, like, white supremacists or Nazis, like, lynching people?
You didn't ask me that. Don't twist your words. I don't
Well, I
fall
literally
for
asked
the
you if you cared
deplorables.
about. I'm so fucking. Hey, buddy, real quick, how many continents are there?
7.
Name them.
Asia, Europe, Antarctica, North America, South America, and I forget the other 2 right now.
Hank Hill almost got him. Buddy, listen, here's my issue with you. You seemingly lack critical thought, common sense, self-awareness, and empathy. And I
Really?
think that you are a sect of, like, our population that will usually, like, make the wrong decision when it comes to the polls. But anyways, maybe I could ask you this question. Would you vote for a rapist?
Would you vote
Hello?
for a child sniffer?
Would you vote? Would I vote for a child sniffer? That's a nice question, and I'll answer it after you answer mine.
Sure. If he does good for the economy, sure.
Okay, so crazy. What proposed policy of Trump's is going to do good for the economy?
Well, remain in Mexico, finish the border wall on that one.
Okay, well, I mean, first of all, the Remain in Mexico policy didn't do good for the economy. It actually was ineffective as all hell. We only saw increasing numbers of border migration during his first 3 years, and the Remain in Mexico policy only impacted 1,000 people, right? Secondly, I'm asking you about his proposed policy in Agenda 47. So what proposed policy does Trump have now that you think will be beneficial to the economy?
No tax on tips.
No tax on tips. So this is also a policy that's proposed under Harris.
Dude, where'd she get it from? Who said it first? I mean, come on.
Yeah, Trump said it first. I don't give a shit. I would be so okay with Trump stealing all of Kamala Harris's policy tomorrow because I know that the American people would be better off. I think it's like appalling that Trump supporters are mad at Kamala Harris for stealing a good policy from Trump.
Because she can't run on her Bernie Sanders record. Everybody knows that.
If anything, right, I don't understand why you wouldn't turn around and you'd say, okay, well, that's good, right? I know now, regardless of who wins in November, because it really is up to up to a coin flip, that we will see like these workers, right, will have better lives. Also, like we could reference how Bernie said it first. I don't really care about that. I'm completely fine with Harris stealing good policy from Trump, and I'd be completely fine with Trump stealing good policy from Harris because I'm not a tribalist nutjob that treats politics like the NFL. I care about the American people and what is going to be best for them. And I was very happy when Harris had announced that policy because that made me feel very secure in the fact of regardless who won in November, we will see that service workers are going to be better off. Before there was only a 50% chance that we'd see that this policy would be implemented to make service workers better off, but now it's a 100% chance. What's the issue with that? Go ahead and unmute your mic, bud.
Oh. Sorry about that.
Go ahead and respond to that, though.
But if she wins and does that, great. You know, if Kamala Harris can be a good president, fine. I'm all for her. But from her record she ran on in 2019 and what she stood for by Bernie Sanders, I cannot push myself, let alone let myself be a part of that.
Yeah, such as what?
She wanted to healthcare for all, no choice, no private healthcare.
Wait, I have a question for you. First of all, saying that Medicare for all it does not imply the elimination of privatized healthcare. Second of all,
that's what she said.
Would you support spending $3.4 trillion on like free Medicare for all?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, so then why would you support spending $3.4 trillion on a reduction of the corporate tax rate and further reductions on the marginal tax rates of the top 1%? This is Trump's proposed economic policy.
Because everybody knows, yes, corporations pay taxes, but when they don't have to because they can raise the profit margins for themselves. Everybody knows that. If I'm a corporation, you're the government, you raise my tax, oh, guess what? Merchandise, your price is going up. Bye, consumer.
Okay, so we had like lower rates of inflation and higher rates of employment in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, and we had higher corporate tax rates in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. So your claim is wrong.
Okay, because we allowed the monopoly.
Sean, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo saying that you're amazing. I really appreciate you for the love. Let's get some W's for Sean in the chat. Thank you for the $10.
Anyway, I gotta get off here, but I appreciate your talk. It was nice.
All right, we're going to move on to our next guest. For the 4.1 thousand people in here, if you're voting for Trump, make sure to hop in that queue. In the meantime, make sure that you're double tapping away on that phone screen. Let's try to get to 400,000 likes. Share out this live as well. And if you want to support me, my Venmo, my PayPal, or my bio, I get 100% of the proceeds on those platforms, and it means the world. What's going on, Denise? How old are you? Hello, Denise. Are you voting for Trump? All right, Denise is AFK. If you are MAGA, let me know in that chat literally right now, folks. We are going to go ahead and move on to the next guest right now. What's up, Jessica? Are you voting for Trump?
Hello.
Hi, are you voting for Trump?
Yes. Well, compared to Kamala and Trump, I would go for Trump, honestly.
Okay, and how old are you?
I'm 18.
So why are you voting? Well, let me start off by asking you this question. Why do you care about someone that doesn't care about you? Trump is vehemently sexist towards women. He has a history of ill-willed treatment and literal sexual violence.
To be honest, I can't really confirm that he doesn't care about us, because like so far, like all of those things that they have said that supposedly he doesn't care about women, I just don't believe that stuff. Like, if anything, I think that he cares more about the
Why?
country than
Wait,
Kamala
wait.
does.
One second. Why would you not believe that Trump has like sexualized a fifth grade girl saying that he did her in 10 years when we have a clip of Trump sexualizing a fifth grade girl saying that he
I
did her in
heard the
10 years?
clip. I
Why
saw.
wouldn't you
I've heard.
believe that Trump boasted about walking into the changing rooms of half-naked teenage girls at Miss Teen USA to inspect them when we have a clip of Sirius XM where he boasted about exactly what I just said to Howard Stern? Why would you not believe that he sexualized his own daughter when he's done so publicly? Why would you not believe that he's violently raped a woman when he was held civilly liable for it? Why would you reject reality?
Well, to be fair, he is a famous person, and a lot of famous people, like they get accused for a lot of things, and I believe that. And I could say the same thing about Biden, because there's been a lot of things said about Biden, how he has raped his own daughter and all of this other stuff, right? So whatever was said about Trump, I haven't seen, like, I've heard about those things, but like, I don't believe it, because a lot of the things, it could be said and it could be false. Like, it's like I haven't
well,
seen
first of
that
all,
it was
let's
proven, and it's the
reference.
same thing with Biden. They've been saying a lot of things about Biden too, about
So
how he's
first
a
of all,
pedophile,
we could
and it
reference
wasn't proven
Biden.
with him too, or maybe it was, but it's like I haven't seen whatever
So
they
I
said
mean,
about Trump was proven.
I don't know if I really want to waste my breath on explaining to you, right, why we shouldn't believe the idea that he showered with his daughter, or why we should at least treat it as being unverified, due to the fact that he's not running for president. If you really want me to, I can. I just don't want to like waste both of our times.
Okay.
But like, I think the point is here, we're voting for Kamala Harris.
Okay,
So
but
I'm gonna vote for the non-grapist over the grapist. Then the second point I have here is that you said you don't believe it. So he was proven to have raped a woman in a court of law, right? We're not just talking about mere accusations. We're talking about what has been proven to a unanimous jury of 9 peers when it didn't need to be unanimous after 2 years of deliberation in a courtroom.
But I just don't get, like, okay, you can probably tell me that maybe it was true or whatever, it was proven to be true. I just don't see how that has an effect on the economy itself. I could say a lot of things about Kamala Harris, about how she put people in
Wait,
jail.
make sure
for
not to say the names of. Don't say the names of any drugs
Why?
because it's against TikTok TOS. Did you say it?
Say what?
The name of a drug?
No, but okay, I won't say it. But anyways,
Okay.
she has put people in jail for, doing drugs whenever she had done it herself, or that she laughed about it whenever they had asked if she had done it herself. And
So
then
first of all, that's
she had
false.
she was gonna sentence an innocent person to death, and then she had also blocked evidence that they were innocent. And like, I've heard about those things too, and it's like,
do you know
okay,
what
I
year
think
that
that's
happened
just
in?
bad enough. I mean, maybe Biden is also bad too, but it's like, Kamala's
Do you know
not
what, do you
perfect
know what year that
either.
happened in?
Huh?
Do you know what year that happened in?
No, I just heard about it, but it's like, it's the same thing. I've heard things about Trump. I've heard things about Kamala. It's like,
So
they're
I would
both bad
I would like to
people.
clarify here that while she was AG of California, which was the only point in which she'd have such thank you for the swan jurisdictional control, only 45 individuals were sentenced to jail time for like petty crimes such as like the use of the M drug. Right.
Okay.
Secondly, in 2014, she publicly spoke out about how she wanted to end the war on drugs and federally decriminalize the use of the M drug. And then in 2018, while she's in the Senate, she actually sponsored legislation to do exactly that. Unfortunately, it just didn't pass. Okay. All right. Then when we want to reference the person on death row, so yeah, you're right. She did deny DNA testing for someone on death row because she believed that they were guilty beyond a reasonable shadow of a doubt, and that'd just be a waste of their government resources. Eventually, the DNA testing was passed because of an order from a judge, and it did not exonerate the person on death row. In fact, it just proved him guilty for a second time. Kamala Harris was right. It was a waste of government resources, but none of this really mattered because the state of California ended executions in 2006. Then in 2018, the governor's office looked into this, did an investigation, mentioned, found no wrongdoing on behalf of Kamala Harris, right? But I'd say that there still is a drastic difference between those two things and, like, say, raping a woman or sexualizing a little girl or boasting about walking into the changing rooms of half-naked teenage girls to inspect them, or like denying housing opportunities to black people because they're black, or saying that because Obama's black, you shouldn't be able to run for president because obviously he's not a U.S.-born citizen, or like taking rights away from all 170 million American women and girls. I mean, I think that there's an obvious like fault in the character of Donald Trump that isn't true of Kamala Harris. And I think the fact that you can't recognize that as being true just shows that you are like playing into mob mentality here. You're actively engaging in conspiratorial bullshit, and you're probably brainwashed.
If anything, I don't know how you can say that Kamala is trying to fight for the rights of women, or you're saying that Trump has.
You don't understand that I could say how she's trying to fight for the rights of women?
No,
Sure, I'll go ahead
it's
and explain to you
because
exactly
no,
clearly.
like you
Because
can.
she wants to reinstitute and she wants to
Okay,
codify
but
federal
how
protections
is
for access
it-
to abortion to protect said access for all 170 million American women and girls, right? Because currently speaking, 1 out of 3 women in the context of the United States of America cannot access said legislation because of Trump's abortion bans and because
Okay.
Trump elected 3 justices to the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade.
Okay, me personally, I am against abortion. That's just me personally. So the whole thing about the abortion, it doesn't affect me or not. It doesn't really like bother me as much. But I do believe, yes, if you got raped, then I should believe that you should get an abortion just the same way as like if you clinically cannot like live or any health issues, then I believe then yeah, you should get an abortion.
So
But
in the
it's
state
like-
of Texas, over the course of the last 2.5 years, 65,000 women who got pregnant as a result of rape were unable to access abortion, and they were unable to access abortion because of Trump's abortion bans. So would you say that this would be a fault of Trump's?
I wouldn't really say that. I mean, doesn't each state get to decide whether they can ban abortion or not?
Well, the reason they get to decide if they can ban abortion or not is because of the justices that Donald Trump put in the Supreme Court.
But I mean, that would really depend on the state. I mean, like, yeah, he put it, but that would just depend on the state. But even at that, like I said, it doesn't bother me as much. But then again, if you did get raped or if you have health issues, then I believe, yeah, you should get abortion. I don't know if they have that option.
Okay, so
there,
if
like, you
Robert
should-
E. Lee and the Confederacy won the Civil War, Robert E. Lee became president, and he said that states should have the right to legalize or criminalize the right to own slaves. And then we saw that like all the southern states made that legal. Would it be Robert E. Lee's fault? And would he be partially responsible for individuals owning slaves?
I don't know. Hold on. It's because
Okay, so
Sorry.
she literally, hello?
no. I'm sorry. It's because I had gotten a call right now. But either you can repeat that again. But I don't know what that has to do with. Like, I don't know. I just personally, I think that she's just not fit to be president. Like, she doesn't.
Yeah,
she
why?
hasn't even done an interview that I've seen so far. She
Kenna,
can't even.
thank you so much
debate
for the
against-
$5 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for the love. Kenna says embarrassing for her. I appreciate you for the love,
Okay.
Kenna.
So, anyways, I just think that I don't think she's fit to be president. She cannot even
Why?
have an interview, or she can't even have a debate with Trump. How do you think that she will even talk to the people from the other side of the country just so that to end war? Like, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, Trump literally, under Trump, I know that he had caused he made peace with other countries. I don't see that with Kamala.
Okay. So you said that she hasn't done an interview. She's done 4 interviews since she became the presumptive Democrat nominee for president. She even has an interview tomorrow. You also said that she can't debate Trump. So Trump backed out of the planned debate on ABC News with Kamala Harris.
I heard the very opposite. I heard that it was her that backed out.
Okay, so that's just a lie?
Either or could have been a lie, to be honest.
No,
but I heard
because
she
you could
backed
follow.
out.
No. You could look at Trump's Truth Social. You could look at his feed, and you could read his tweet about how he stated he was backing out of the debate with her on ABC because of ongoing litigation with the network. But as of yesterday, right, he re-signed back up for it, and they will be debating on September 10th on ABC. Right, so I just want to clarify
That's
that
good,
she
then.
has been incessantly trying to debate him, right, since she was a presumptive nominee. He backed out, and now he's back in. So I don't understand that claim. But I don't understand how you could say that Kamala Harris is unfit to serve as our president because she hasn't done as many interviews as you would like her to have done, but then say that Donald Trump the grapist, felon, fraudster, election denier, wannabe dictator on day one fascist that took rights away from women, has incessantly lied to his voter base, spread conspiratorial nonsense, wants to dismantle the Federal Board of Education, and has attempted to overthrow our federal government with the use of a violent coup and an attempt to rig the outcome of a federal election, is fit to serve as our president. That's kind of crazy.
Okay, I want to just mention back to the taking the rights away of women. So what about the people that have, like, a lot of the illegals had came into the country, and I wouldn't doubt that a lot of them had caused a lot of crimes, and they probably raped a lot of women, and it was millions of illegals that came in, and that's like what Trump is, he's trying to, like, you know, have the deportation, as you know, right? So it's
Hey,
like,
Jessica,
what
real
about
quick,
the
are you
women
a
that
U-
got raped
hey,
by the
Jessica,
illegal immigrants?
Jessica, are you a
Did
U.S.
they
born
not
citizen?
have rights either?
1 second. Are you a U.S. born citizen?
Yes.
You are statistically speaking 4 times more likely to commit a violent crime such as rape than an undocumented migrant.
How is that? Like, I don't get it. Like, how is that?
How is that? That's just what violent crime rates would tell us.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, like, I don't know, like, would you prefer to have, like, a bunch of, because so far, like, whenever Biden and she was vice president, because I know she could have done something too, but I was living better under Trump than I was with Biden. Everything just got
Did
worse.
you say that you were 18?
Yeah, I'm 18.
Were you like 13 under Trump?
13 under Trump. Yeah, but I mean, I
So
witnessed,
how are you better off when you were 13 compared to when you're 18?
because I literally see things. I literally see what my parents struggle through. I notice these things, and then even
Bro,
my parents have talked about it with me
saying
too.
that you were better
I've
off
had-
in middle school than you are as a high school graduate has to be.
I'm
user
not
error.
talking about like me myself. I'm talking about like my family who provides for me. They were better off providing for me when I was under Trump. Now under Biden, everything just got worse, and it wasn't only me saying it. A lot of other people are saying it too.
Yeah, sure. So if we want to reference like economic indicators such as the price of gas, price of groceries, inflation, etc., how did the Biden-Harris administration cause any of these things?
The what? The inflation?
Yeah, why don't we start there? How did the Biden-Harris administration cause higher rates of inflation?
To be honest, I don't know too much of how it happened. I
Pops,
just
thank you
know
for
it
boxing
happened
gloves.
under them. I just know it happened under
Okay.
them.
All right, well, I appreciate you admitting.
Because I
that
don't
your
look too
logic
much
is it
into
happened
that
under
things,
them,
if I'm
therefore
going to
they
be
caused it.
honest.
So when the highest rate of unemployment happened since the Great Depression happened under Trump in April of 2020, did Trump cause that?
I don't know. He probably. I mean, wait. You're saying that Trump had a lot of unemployment, is what you're trying to say? Because if he did, it was probably because of the pandemic.
Okay, so just because something happens in the country, it doesn't mean that you can necessarily blame it on the president.
Yeah, that's why.
Okay, so then why would you say because higher rates of inflation have happened in the country under Biden and Harris that you'd blame it on them?
I don't even know. Well, if the inflation, you said, like, if the inflation did happen, I don't get how, like, the prices were going, like, so much more higher than the raise of the pay. Like the pay raise, I've barely seen it even, like, increase, but I've seen the prices increase more on things. It's
Oh, we actually have. That's actually false. We have higher real median wages, which like account for inflation now than we did under Trump's presidency. You could reference Fred for that, so that's false. But secondly, if you just want to know what caused the inflation in our country, well, it was the pandemic. It caused global inflation in every country around the world. But little fun fact here: the U.S. actually had the quickest rebound from the inflation onset by the pandemic out of any other country in the G7. Boom.
okay, but I don't know. It just doesn't. I don't know. Okay.
What don't you know?
Because I'll leave right now. But I was just saying, like, I don't know too much detail about, like, all the things that were like.
Well,
Like,
shit, or else you want to be voting for Trump.
no, I know, but I'm just saying, if I had to choose Kamala or Trump, I would choose Trump because, like, from what I've seen, we were living better under Trump than we were with Kamala.
Okay, didn't I just dispute that argument? Didn't I literally just dispute and like refute and disprove that argument? How about you repeat my
Okay,
refutation?
but like I said,
Marilyn, thank you for the
still
$5 on
better
Venmo.
under
Latinas
Trump
for
than
Kamala
we were
Harris.
with
I really
Kamala.
appreciate you for the love. Thank you so much for the love, Marilyn, for the $5 on Venmo. I really appreciate you there. So I literally just refuted your logic on this point. Would you like me to repeat my refutation? Or
Okay,
did you
so
just
what
kind of ignore it?
exactly has Kamala done that has personally benefited you?
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, I think that we should talk about it in a more broad sense. How about we talk about what she's done that has personally benefited the low and the middle class? We could reference four monumental pieces of legislation that her and Biden have influenced to get passed, such as the Chips and Science Act, the PACT Act, the Infrastructure Bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, and I'll throw a fifth in there. Fuck it, the American Rescue Plan. Those all benefited the low and the middle class more than they benefited the top 1%. So I'd like to ask you this question now: what is one policy, right, that Trump influenced to get passed while he was president that benefited the low and the middle class more than rich people?
I can't name a policy, but all I know is that the economy, like the flow of money, was going like pretty good because with Biden and Harris,
Until fucking
a lot of small
2020,
businesses have
do
been
you
going
blame
down.
do you blame 2020 on Trump? That happened under his presidency. Do you
What,
blame
the
that shit on him?
pandemic? That wasn't
Yes.
even, that wasn't his fault.
Oh, so now we could reference external variables to explain how things occurred. So in the same way, the highest rate of unemployment that we've had since the Great Depression at 14.8% in April of 2020 wasn't Trump's fault, it was the pandemic's fault. The high rates of inflation that we've had under the Biden and Harris administration haven't been Biden and Harris's fault, they've been the pandemic's fault. What is the separation in the logic here? As soon as we are referencing economic indicators under Trump's presidency, you seemingly understand how external variables can explain why things happen in our country, but as soon as it's no longer Trump and it's Biden and Harris, you become an ignorant individual.
Okay. Well, I'll look more into
Shania, I appreciate you for the $5 on PayPal. Thank you so much for the love. Let's get some W's in the chat. Shania, I really appreciate you. And Leslie with a $10 on PayPal saying, check your mic. Guests are really loud and I'm really quiet. Maybe I just need to speak up a little bit. Thank you so much, Shania and Leslie. W's for Shania and Leslie down below. Well, Jessica, was there anything else that you wanted to go over today?
No, but I'll just look more into like whatever you did say just so I can read more into it. I was just saying like so far from what I've seen and what I've heard from
Cool.
other people. But
I appreciate you for coming up, Jessica. If you're MAGA, make sure to let me know in that chat right now. And once again, if you want to support me, my Venmo, my PayPal are in my bio. We're going to go and get our next guest up here right now. Jocelyn, thank you so much for the galaxy. That is so kind of you. I really appreciate you for that love. We got our next guest loading in right now, guys. Have a little bit of a headache at the moment. Unfortunate. My head is pounding. Unfortunate. We're going to go to get our next guest up here right now. Mia, thank you for the hand arts. I would preferably love to load people in from the chat. So if you want to come up and debate, let me know in the chat because people from the queue don't really load up. But in the meantime, while we are loading up our next guest, Melissa, thank you so much for the $10 on PayPal. I want to see at least 100 W's for Melissa down below saying keep it up. That is so kind of you. Thank you for the $10, Melissa. What's up, Charles? How old are you? Oh, you know what? You're old enough. Are you voting for Trump?
No.
Hey, W for you, based. Let's get some W's for Charles down below for not voting for Trump. Our next guest, Abigail's loading in. All right, moving on to our next guest here. W's for Charles. What's up, Abigail? Are you voting for Trump?
Yes, I am.
Okay, how old are you?
31.
Nice. So why do you care about someone that doesn't care about you? Trump is a sexist pig.
I'm pretty much just voting. I particularly didn't vote last year because I didn't like neither one of the candidates. But this year I'm voting just because pretty much I don't think Kamala deserves to run.
Okay, why?
Because Biden was all set. He was going to run. And then I think he got bullied. And I just feel like if somebody's going to have the title of first female president, like, you should
Farah,
be,
thank you for the
should earn
$5 on
it.
PayPal. And Shelly, thank you for the $5 on Well. Let's get some W's in the chat for Farah and Shelly. I really appreciate you guys. Go ahead.
I just feel like the first female president should earn it. I just feel like it's being given to her. And I feel like as a woman, that is quite insulting.
Oh, yeah, so the presidency is obviously being given to Kamala Harris, even though she has to go out campaign and convince more than half the country to get at least 270 votes in the Electoral College to vote for her. You seemingly don't know enough about U.S. politics. You're saying that it's given to her, yet she had to fight through career developments all her life, going from AG to DA to VP to the presumptive Democratic candidate to the official candidacy on on the ballot for the Democrat Party, but she didn't fight for that at all. She didn't fight for the 80,000 votes she got as the AG and I forgot senator there in California. She didn't vote for the 4.4 million votes she got for DA in California. She didn't fight for being senator of California. She didn't fight for being vice president of the United States of America. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. How about Trump? Do you think he fought for the $400 million he got from his father? Did he fight
yes, he
when he
was.
tried to convince his VP Mike Pence to literally to make him fraudulent, to make him the fraudulent president of the United States in 2020 by making fake votes for him?
I mean, well, so what happened to the votes for Biden? Like those just disappeared?
No, just like in any other primary race, Biden will influence his delegates to endorse another candidate. That candidate being Kamala Harris.
So did that take place this year that Biden was voted in as the candidate?
Biden was not voted in as the candidate. Kamala Harris was.
Oh, I was under the impression that he was the running candidate and that he got bullied out of it.
He was the presumptive Democrat nominee. He stepped down because Kamala Harris would perform much better in the polls than him. And Kamala Harris fought and got the amount of delegates
Oh,
required
yeah, so
to
the
be
nominee,
the official
he
presumptive
became the nominee.
No, the
So that's the
presumptive
skip. That's
nominee.
that's the part that we were skipping.
All incumbents are going to be the presumptive nominee.
I don't know. I just feel like, because he literally within a week, I was watching the news. He was like, "I am running," and then like within a week, he's like, "I'm not running." And then Kamala was just, there was no other options. It was just, it's going to be Kamala. And I just feel like it's an insult to women and our abilities that they're just like throwing this person in front of us, and they didn't go through the whole process like Hillary did or Trump did. And I personally, I
Trump
understand.
went through the whole process in 2020. He literally tried to rig the outcome of the election.
Well, I'm not going to speak on that because we all have our own opinions. I've been watching you for 2 days, and you do have a lot of great comebacks with all of your data that you are reading. But as you're younger than me, and I challenge you to question that data and not seek that it's always 100% correct.
Wait, but Abigail, why should I question Donald Trump? My data is Donald Trump and the argument that he's making to the Supreme Court right now, saying that he did like try to influence the outcome of the 2020 election by rigging it, sending false slates of electors to 7 different states. If you don't question Donald Trump, why the hell should I?
Well, this is what I fear. I do not like government encroaching on our civil liberties. I don't like the idea of government control. And
Okay,
I
so
feel
then would
like,
you disagree with Trump electing 3 justices to the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade to give control of the government back to like the civil liberties and access to health care of all 170 million American women and girls?
and I get what you're saying about that, but you could also look at it this way. You don't agree with the idea that the people have the right to vote and our votes matter, because it's just gone back to the states. So
I mean, well, if you want it to go back to the states, if you want it to go back to the states, right? So it just gives like more of a voice to the individual constituents of every state. Well, I mean, why wouldn't you just want it to go back to each individual woman? That's how to give the most representation to American citizens, is by putting that decision, that choice in the hands of each individual American woman and girl, right? Because when you like disenfranchise and like alt-delete like federal protections for access to abortion, you're taking it out of the hands of the individual women and you're putting it in the hands of the white men in Washington, D.C. If you're about a voter representation, right, and individualistic civil liberties, you should be for federal protections for access to abortion.
Well, the name
and Nicole,
of
thank you for the $5 on Venmo for some Advil. I really need that. Thank you for the love. W's for Nicole in the chat.
The Roe v. Wade has been debated for a long time, and the person that it was named after wanted it to be gone because she hated that her name was forever enshrined in this, because she didn't ever get an abortion and she didn't want to be the image of it.
Okay, first of all, like, I don't even know if what you're saying is true. First time I've ever heard it. I could care less.
Okay, I don't disagree with abortion. Birth is never a guarantee of life. However, I do believe in the rights of people having the power. So if people have the power to vote, they can vote if they want it. If I believe in culture, I believe in
Jasmine, thank you so much for the $5 on PayPal to tell. Thank you so much for the love. W's for Jasmine in the chat. Thank you for the $5. Okay, well, if you agree with people having the right to vote, do you think that people should have the right to vote on the 19th Amendment insofar as if women have the right to vote? Should that be pushed back down to the state?
But that goes into culture. Like there's some cultures that we know of that women don't have those rights. That's their culture. And who am I to say that is wrong? That's why we live where we live. We are where we are. And, you know, the power needs to go back to the people. Too much of it is in the government's control. And children like you are blinded
Jesus fucking
by
Christ.
it.
Hey, so in some cultures, we will see that 50-year-old men marry and engage in intercourse with little girls as young as 6, 7, or 8. Do you think that you are in a position to say that that is wrong? Or would you use the same logic?
Well, are you a Christian?
No.
Okay, neither am I. So if you believed in the Bible, then you'd be okay with that. But I may personally not be okay with somebody's choices or cultures, but who am I to say it is wrong?
Wait, you don't think that you could say it's wrong for old men to marry little girls?
I do not believe in it. I think it is wrong. But I cannot go change a state, a country, a culture that may practice it.
Dude,
there's countries that practice cannibalism.
And it's wrong. Wait. Do you think that the right to own...
Who is to say what is right and wrong?
Me, I am.
What
Dinas,
gives you that authority?
What gives me the special moral authority? My own preferences, conveyant of moral truths that are derived from them. I'm not religious. I have a question. Do you think that the right to own slaves should go back to the state?
I think we're all slaves, honestly, and I think it's been a big joke.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What is slavery?
What you want me to define what slavery is?
Yeah.
Owning a human being and forcing them to do whatever you want. I mean, I don't know the
okay, so how am I
actual definition.
How am I a owned human being that is forced to do things? You said we're all slaves.
Because
right?
you don't pay for anything you buy.
Elizabeth, thank you so much for the $50 on Venmo, and Kelsey, thank you for the $10 on Venmo. I want to see some massive W's in the chat for Elizabeth. I really appreciate you for the $50 on Venmo. That is so huge. I thank you so much for the love, Elizabeth. Let's get some massive W's for Elizabeth right now in the chat. Thank you so much for the $50. That is seriously so kind of you. Massive W's for Elizabeth down below. Thank you so much for the $50. And Kelsey, seriously, thank you for the $10 as well. Massive W's for Elizabeth and Kelsey. That is so kind of you guys. Go ahead.
I lost my train of thought. I'm glad all these people are supporting you because you give everybody a chance to speak their point of view. However, what I was saying is...
Sorry for making you lose your train of thought. That was definitely my fault. But I'll just re-ask you the question. How about that?
Yeah, ask me again.
Do you think that the right to own slaves should go back to the state?
Oh, we're all slaves.
Okay, so how am I a slave?
You don't work, you don't eat.
Wait, but that doesn't mean that you are forcefully owned as property by another human for the rest
pretty
of your
much
life.
it does. You don't pay taxes, you go to jail.
No, literally not. That literally does not make you a slave in the slightest, right? So would you say that you have it just as worse? You have it just as bad as like black people during like antebellum era slavery in the U.S. since y'all are both slaves?
I don't know what you talking about, like getting beat.
You can't even answer the question. I'll go ahead and ask it. So, U.S. history, right? Slavery used to be legal in the sense of like the transatlantic slave trade, right? Like
there's more slaves today than there ever was.
Okay, also not relevant, and I don't even know if that's true.
It is.
I'm asking you if you
have
sex trafficking. I'm asking you if you have it as bad as like black people who are owned as.
This is what I used to. This is what I tell people. You know, back then they used to have the whips and the chains, and they'd lock you up and beat you. They don't. What they have is called a background check. They have a credit rating. So if you don't behave yourself, they will ruin your entire life.
Oh, who's they?
The government, the DOJ, the justice system.
Okay, so wait, the justice system. Wait, the justice system is a slave. One second. The justice system is a slave owner because they criminally prosecute criminals.
Do you know how many innocent 17-year-olds?
I'm so sorry. This is so
entire lives are ruined.
Abigail, I'm gonna go ahead and like just pop off real quick. This is so fucking disrespectful. What would you have to say to the direct descendants of individuals that were owned as slaves as property by white people 200 years ago?
You're a slave.
What would you have to say to the slaves in of themselves?
You are not free.
How you are 1 second. Do you understand how you are reducing the legitimate moral horror and atrocities committed by white supremacists injustice in our own country's history towards black people? And how are you delegitimizing the harm caused by that when you turn
I
around
am
and you
not
say that everybody
I'm
has
not.
experienced that same harm as we are all slaves?
Dude, I'm trying to open your eyes.
Yeah, I'm so
All
sorry.
slaves
I'm so
now.
sorry. Yeah, I'm so sorry. When have you, right, been forced to sleep in like a cold rickety shelter, built by the backs of like your friends who were forcefully like, well, I don't understand why you're laughing, who were made forcefully
You think
into
people
a
don't sleep in
property
the
of a white man?
streets?
When were you, right, like whipped? Your back was whipped, destroyed, beat, and broken open because you quote unquote disrespected a white man around you? When were you forced to do labor for 16 hours a day for 50 years of your life, then to die alone because you had your wife and your children separated and sold to other white people across the country? It is so incredibly disrespectful for you to come up in here and to say that we are all slaves. It just devalues and delegitimizes, right, the experiences that individuals have had in our own country's past.
Okay, can I say something now? I'm not trying to interrupt you, and I let you speak. I am not discrediting anything that happened in the past. I'm saying
course
it's
you are.
being reinvented in another way. And everything that you just spoke about, all those horrible things, that stuff still happens today. To this day.
Okay, so like another angle of delegitimizing the horrors is to compare it to a modern day horror. No one can test, thank you for the boxing gloves, that there's modern day horrors that can be comparable to horrors that have been experienced in the past. But what does that serve to do? Right, what you are attempting to do with the use of such language, such semantics, and such argumentation is to relatively devalue, right, the horrors and the atrocities, right, committed onto black people during American slavery by comparing it to something that's happening today. Right, and this happens like all the time.
Because that's the illusion.
One second,
gone.
Abigail. 1 second. I'm not. When have I said that slavery is gone? No, slavery is currently going on in the Congo today. It's real. It happens. No one's.
It's here in the U.S.,
but
dude.
That also does. Where?
Sex trafficking. Where do you think
Jonathan,
these
thank
kids
you for the
go?
$5 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for the love. What the fuck does that have to do with me referencing the horrors
It
and the
is
atrocities committed
slavery.
onto black? What does that have to do? What is the relevance of that in our conversation today? Of course, yes.
I don't think
Sex
you're
trafficking-
educated enough to see what I'm saying.
And I don't think you're educated enough to make a damn coherent point. Of course,
I
sex
am.
trafficking.
I'm
1
trying
second.
to make you open your eyes.
Of course, sex trafficking is going to be comparable to slavery. Literally, no one contends that. Literally, no one contends that. No one at all contends that. If anything, right, that's actually a very useful way to portray, right, some of the atrocities that occurred to slaves is through a comparison to modern day sex trafficking, right? Of course, like that is. Oh my God. Did we get an age restriction? Yeah, we got an age restriction. Someone brought up drugs.
I'm not trying to.
You're fucking stupid. I gotta call you that now because I gotta
I'm
restart
not
my live.
insulting you, and
I'm insulting you. I'm not even mad. You're just fucking stupid. And I actually have to hit a restart. For the 5,000 people in here, I have to hit a restart because I just got 2 age restrictions on my account. But I mean, just like once again to clarify, sex trafficking isn't legal. Okay, that's illegal. It's a crime. When slavery was legal, it was not a crime. Anyways, well, for the 5,000 people in here, every so often, I just want to thank a couple donors real quick. Thomas, thank you so much for the $10 on PayPal to please hammer this dummy. I really appreciate you for the $10. That's so kind of you. W's for Thomas in the chat. For the 5,000 people in here, I just have to hit a restart on the stream. Click on my profile. I'm going to be back in 10 seconds. This is literally such an annoying restart. I know, and I'm sorry, y'all. We just have to do it because TikTok restricted the live's visibility. So everyone just come right back, hit the follow button if you disagree, and I'm going to be back on live in 5 minutes. Not even 5 minutes, 5 seconds. And we're going to continue the debates. Come right back in. Literally ending live, speed run restarting it. I'll be right back, guys. This is going to be the quickest restart known to mankind. Annoying. We just had to restart because TikTok restricted the visibility of the live. I don't know why they did, but unfortunately they did. So for everybody tuning back in, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure that you are double tapping away on that phone screen, sharing out this live with a couple friends. All of those things will really just help us get back in the algorithm. I literally hate it when TikTok forces us to restart like that, but it is what it is. It happens, so here we are. We are going to go ahead and get our next guest up in the box literally right now, folks. So if you're just tuning back into the live, make sure to double tap on that phone screen and let's go ahead and see who we have in the guest requests. Let's go and get our first guest of the night up. in the box. Guessing that means she's leaving, so we're also going to go ahead and load up Anthony. All right, everybody, welcome back in. So good to see you all. So good to see you all. That was quick. Yeah, that was the fastest restart known to mankind. What's up, Anthony? How old are you? All right, Anthony's not here. If you're MAGA, make sure to let me know in that chat. We're going to go and get our next guest up in the box literally right now, y'all. For the 1.6 thousand people joining us, welcome back into the stream. Do double tap, do share, do spam the comments. What's up? How old are you?
Yo, what's good? I'm 19.
Okay, are you voting for Trump?
Brent Peterson, 2024.
All right, well, you've been spamming... That guy's been spamming MAGA in my chat for like 3 days just to come up here and troll. I'll respect the grind, okay? I'm not even mad. He's been spamming that in my chat for 3 days just to come up here and say that. What's up? Are you voting for Trump?
Well, here's the thing. MAGA is Make America Great Again, right? And the problem is that if you think about it, I keep hearing different ones.
Gee, thank you so much for this 13-month subscription.
The greatest place, you know? We don't need to make it great again. And I think there's a huge problem.
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure there's like anti-Trump rhetoric. I appreciate you for coming up, man. I am just going to debate Trump supporters. I'm just going to assume that he wasn't a Trump supporter. W's for guest.
Dean, how you doing? Listen, I know you're going to drop me. Just give you 20.
I'm sorry, man. If you come in here saying that, yeah, I am going to drop you. Guys, keep in mind, if you're in the queue, make sure that you're voting for Trump. We're just looking to debate Trump supporters. For the first 2,000 people in here, welcome in, guys. We're going to get our first debate underway. What's up? How old are you?
22.
22, awesome. Are you voting for Trump?
I'm on the fence. I have a couple questions regarding, like...
Wait, let me just ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
Would you ever vote for someone that's been held civilly liable for grape?
No, but I got a quick
So Trump's been held civilly liable for grape. That means you wouldn't vote for Trump.
So I'm more about...
Zachary, if you'd like to join my Discord, I could have conversation with you on there. I understand that you're on the fence and undecided voters are important. Please join my Discord. But for this live, just talking to people who are voting for Trump. Hey, so I understand that you are voting for Trump, right?
Here's the thing, is that, like I said, if you listen to all of what I'm saying, Trump says make America great again. All these different ones keep on going. America's already great. And so we don't need to make it great again. The problem with that type of thinking is the fact that Make America Great Again comes with the idea of, at certain points in American history, America did stuff that made it great. When it signed the Declaration of Independence, that made America great. When it created...
Did it make it great for the slaves that were owned by the signing fathers of the Declaration of Independence?
Didn't they also
make it great for the women who had to stay at home?
Remember when they freed the slaves? Remember when they created civil liberties? Were those times that made America great again?
Okay, so when they freed the slaves, was that still great for African Americans at the time because they were racially segregated from public businesses? Was it great for members of the LGBTQ+ community that could not be outspoken about their attractions or could legally marry their partners? Who's it great for?
So every time that something happens to try to, to say, hey, what we did here was wrong, let's try and rectify it, all of a sudden now it's a bad decision, even though later on it's like, yeah, but, we had slaves, and that was bad. Well, we freed the slaves. Yeah, but that was bad. That kind of rhetoric doesn't help.
Who the hell was saying that freeing the slaves was bad?
When they say that freeing the slaves caused problems for them because, suddenly they didn't have a place to go and other stuff like that.
That was the argument of the Confederacy.
This is why I'm saying, when you listen to the rhetoric that is there on different sides.
Hey, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm just going to go ahead and ask my question now. Why are you voting for Trump?
Well, here's the thing. If you think about it, right, when someone like Trump is president, even if you don't like his politics, if you don't like his criminal history, if you want to call it that, he's one of the ones who can actually do stuff that will bring down prices of, like, gas. Why? Because when you look at who it is that he's connected with and the money that he has that he puts out there and those that he's affiliated with, they can actually, do certain actions that seem a little bit more difficult for others.
Okay, you'd be a terrible resume builder. You'd be a terrible resume builder Just
Well,
want to let you know.
possibly,
But real quick,
yeah.
so what
It,
proposed
I would.
policy does Trump have in Agenda 47 that would reduce the price of gasoline?
Well, here's the reason for that. If you look at when he was president and what he did, and stuff. If you look at gas prices and what was going on, there are certain states that have a certain viewpoint towards Democratic and Republican ideas.
Emily, thank you so much for the $20 on Venmo. Thank you for talking to the creepy uncles at Thanksgiving. Emily, thank you so much for the $20. Let's get some W's to the chat for Emily. I really appreciate you for the $20 on Venmo. Massive W's down below for Emily. Thank you so much. Majesty, what's up? Are you voting for Trump?
I am.
Have we talked before?
I have, but I hadn't.
All right, moving on to our next guest. Let's get into what our next guest, Lindsay, has to say. We're going to move on to our next guest. Just want to talk to people that I haven't spoken to before. For the 3,000 people in here, make sure that you're double tapping. What's up, Lindsay? How old are you?
Hi, I'm 21.
Phenomenal. Are you voting for Trump?
Yes.
Why are you voting for, or why do you care about someone that doesn't care about you? Trump has a vehemently sexist history, track record of treatment towards women, including the sexualization of little girls and sexual violence towards adults.
I am personally, I don't even really want to talk about like that. I really am interested to see like
Blue,
what you think about like the inflation and stuff caused by the Biden-Harris administration, and why you think Harris administration would be any different than it is today.
Okay. Well, I have a great question. How did the Biden-Harris administration cause inflation?
They put more tax on larger companies, and larger companies will never pay like more tax if you tax bigger on
so
companies.
when did they put larger taxes on companies? Lindsay, you could come back on the live. I know you're Googling right now. I can't hear you if you can't see me. So unless you're on the app, I can't hear you. Just come back. I'll just answer it for you. They didn't. Okay. Our federal tax code is Trump's tax code. We are still under it and will be until 2025. So I'll ask you again. How did the Biden-Harris administration cause inflation?
Well, I'm sorry. I guess I was under the impression that they want to tax more on higher companies. And when you do that, they cause, like, they don't pay for more taxes. They basically charge more for their product. They, like, cut down on their employment. And
They cut down on their employment?
Yes.
Okay, so do you know how like Republicans have referred to like 50-year record low unemployment rates under Trump, and Democrats have referred to 50-year record low unemployment rates under Biden? You know about that? Okay,
No.
we all do. Okay, well, I mean, that's something that both sides have done with their respective presidencies. So when was 50 years ago? That was like in the 70s, right? And what else did we have in the 70s? Like a 35% corporate tax rate. Kamala Harris only wants to raise it to 28%. The issue with this argument is that it's just not historically true, okay? You're saying that raising the corporate tax rate would like increase rates of unemployment? No. Some of the record low unemployment rates that we've had in our country as a whole have occurred in times with higher corporate tax rates. Okay, this is where she runs away. Great. This is where she runs away. All right, moving on to her next guest. I totally think and know she's just running away right now. There's no way she has a response to that. Okay, like there's like no way she could respond to that. Like that was just a devastation. That was a murder, chat. That was terrible. What's up? Are you voting for Trump? Champ, hello? All right, they're not here. If you guys are voting for Trump, let me see a MAGA down below. We're gonna move on to our next guest. Let's get our next guest, Luke, up in here, just because his profile picture is Giga Chad. He seems like he'll be embarrassing. Hello, how old are you?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going all right. How old are you?
I'm 20.
Are you voting for Trump?
Yeah, I am. I just had a couple questions for you. I'm not really here to go into too many super details. I just had a question, just understand better, your thought process on a couple things.
Okay.
So number one, you obviously saw that Robert Kennedy Jr., former Democrat, endorsed Trump. Why do you think, or what does the left think in general, that, or what does the left think of that in general?
I don't think that Bobby is going to be representative of Democrat views or values. His family would agree. His sister, his brothers, they would agree with me there. I think that, that's just a ploy for him to get a position on Trump's ticket. But that aside,
you think he was just doing that because he wants to get on Trump's cabinet?
yeah, of course. So anyways, so why are you voting for Trump?
Oh, well, I mean, we could get into that. I mean, there's a couple other reasons why. I mean, I like his policy on the border. I like, there's
what policy on the border?
I like. What's up?
What policy on the border? What policy did he influence get passed through Congress for the border?
The funding for the border wall.
Funding for the border wall. So that was not influenced to get passed through Congress. In fact, he tried to do that, and it was an utter failure. So then he had to misappropriate about $5 billion from our defense budget to building the wall, in which he only built less than 50 miles of. Great border policy, some of the best ever. It literally had no impact on crossings.
Your Trump impression's actually pretty decent. Yeah, well, no, I mean, listen, I mean, I didn't come on here to debate that with you. I just had one more question. Actually, what are some of the acts that, you mentioned, like the Chips and Science Act, the Inflation Reduction Act? Like, could you just list me off some of those names so I can just do some research on my own?
You know what, Luke? I fucking got you. Chips and Science Act. PACT Act,
Chips and Science Act.
Infrastructure Bill, Inflation Reduction Act, American Rescue Plan. 5 phenomenal acts influenced to get passed by the Biden-Harris administration. Look them up. I appreciate you for coming up in here. You seem like you actually want to do research and educate yourself. I'm not going to be mad at that. Thank you, Luke. We're going to move on to our next guest. What's going on? You're voting for Trump, I could tell. Why in the hell would you be doing that?
Well, yeah, the reason why is because Kamala Harris is going to be banning peanut butter. The hell? Don't you understand?
Okay. All right. We're going to move on to our next guest. Everybody just give us a minute to get our next conversation going. We got John loaded in. And Jaden, thank you for the $5 on PayPal. That's so kind of you. Let's get some W's for Jaden in the chat. Thank you for the $5. It means the world to me. Thank you, Jaden.
How's it going?
What's up, John? Are you voting for Trump?
Yes, I am.
All right. Now, why in the hell would you be doing such a thing?
Well, I'll talk about it in a sec. I just want to tell you, I feel like you have lost your dignity as a human being because you
says the one voting for a rapist felon, wannabe dictator fascist
all day, and you beg
incessantly
people for money.
sexist?
You have a Venmo and you fucking sit on live and ask people for money, bro. Like, you're a bitch. You look like a fucking girl.
So you are angry as all hell. You say I look
Oh,
like a
you're
girl.
angry.
Do you
You're
know
out here
fuck
just
it?
yelling at Trump supporters. Like, people are just coming on here, bro. I'm yelling at you because you're a bitch.
Okay.
You're a bitch.
All right. So I have a question for you, Johnny John. So are you just jealous of the fact that individuals donate to me and support what I do, or what's up? I mean, I didn't come on here to speak about what I believe in. That's what I've always done. If I came on here for the money, I would have never started in the first place. Because how much money do you think I made when I was streaming to 30 people?
All this crap everywhere, bro.
John, stop
Join
fucking
the
your
Dean
phone.
King. Join the Dean King. Bro, you look like a girl.
Are you
If
attracted
I stood
to
next
girls?
to you, I'd fucking make you look like a bitch, bro.
Okay, are you stroking your shit right now? What's going on? I'm so fucking confused. What the fuck?
Bro, you don't
Hello?
even have a penis.
What? I'm so confused. I'm sorry.
I'm
Why
telling
is he
you you're a
whispering
bitch,
like
bro.
that? Why is he
I'm telling you you're a bitch.
You look like a you look
I'm
like
telling
a
you
girl.
you're a bitch, bro.
Yeah. Yo, Hannah, thank you for the $5 on PayPal
you're a
for the
bitch.
grift. It's because he loves my content. I really
And you
appreciate
paint
you for
your
the love.
fucking nails.
And Abrielle, I appreciate you for the $10 on Venmo. Let's get some W's for Hannah and Abrielle. I appreciate you guys
have
for the
no
$15
life.
on Venmo. The goat is walking the dogs. I appreciate you. And Teresa, thank
You're
you for
also
the
weigh
$10 on
50
Venmo
pounds, bro.
to make John mad as well. I really
You're
appreciate you for the
5'7".
$10 on Venmo. And Kim with the money gun. Shut up, buddy. Thank you
You're
for the love,
5'7".
Teresa. And yo, Tamelia, thank you for the $3 on PayPal because he wants me. Mags with the boxing gloves. I really appreciate you for the love. Thank you so much, Mags. And Trish with the hanging lights as well. What was that about me? Grifting again?
I said you're
Kenna,
short.
thank you for the $1 on Venmo. Oh, John has a crush. He absolutely does. I appreciate you for the love.
I said you're fucking 5'7" and 100 pounds, bro.
Melissa, thank you for the $10 on Venmo saying that John is a B word. And Cammy with a money gun. I appreciate you, Melissa and Cammy and Devin. Thank you for the $1. And Savannah, thank you for the $2 on Venmo. My girl, Dean. Babs, thank you for the manifesting. I appreciate you for the love.
What do you
I
do
really
like
appreciate
in
you for the
real life,
love.
bro?
What do you mean? That you're currently
Like,
engaged
do you
in
have a
daily
job?
activity of mine? Oh, this is my job.
That's fuck. Oh. I'm sorry for you.
Are you saying that this isn't a job? What's a job?
No, this is not
What's a job? Can you define that word for me? Trish, thank you for the hand.
occupation.
Okay, what's an occupation?
Bro, what? You're asking me what occupation is?
Farah, thank you so much for the $3 on Venmo for the real job. Yeah, because I consider this a job. I provide a service. I provide value. And then I get compensated because really kind people donate to me because they believe in what I say. And it's very kind of them. LED, thank you for the boxing gloves.
Bro,
And Gerard, thank you for the $15 on Venmo for the real... Shut up, buddy. Gerard, thank you for the $15 on Venmo for the real job. And Nihad with the $5 on PayPal as well. Let's get some W's in the chat for Gerard and Nihad. I really appreciate you both. Thank you for the $15 and the $5 for the real job.
You are not real, bro.
Because I transcend above reality, buddy. That's right. I'm better than you.
At what?
Autumn, thank you so much for the $5 on Venmo. He looks exactly how he's describing you. That's hilarious. And Autumn, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. And Charles, thank you so much for the $25 on Venmo for being a BITCH. Let's get some W's in the chat for Charles. I really appreciate you for the $15. Spoof with the $2 as well, but massive W's for Charles. Holy shit. On Kelsey, thank you for the $5 on Cash App for being an alpha. That's crazy. Thank you guys so much for the love. You know, John, earlier you said that I looked like a girl. How the fuck am I supposed to take that as like a diss?
You need
That's
a
a compliment.
You just need a life change for you.
You don't even know what to say. I need a life change?
Yeah.
You're selling. What the fuck does that mean? What the fuck does that? I need a life change? What?
Yeah, bro. I don't like you. I just don't like fucking looking at you.
Oh, well, earlier you said that I look like a girl. You don't like looking at
you
like
do
women?
look like a girl, bro.
Okay, what does that mean? Miranda, thank you for the $1 on PayPal.
What does it mean? It means you look like a girl, bro.
Okay, Jackie, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. I
body.
appreciate you for the love. I've no hair on my body.
Yeah, bro. Look at your ass. You look like a fucking child.
I'm like so confused. So on one hand, you're saying that I look like a girl, then on the other hand, you're saying that I look like a child. You're saying that like women and girls are children.
What?
Okay, you couldn't even make that logical connection. That's crazy. Peyton, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo, and Beth, thank you for the $25 on Venmo as well. Let's get some W's in the chat for Peyton and Beth. I really appreciate you guys. Let's get some W's. Let's get some W's for Peyton and Beth. I really appreciate you guys so much for the $35 in total. And Shayla, thank you for the $5 on PayPal as well for our favorite girls girl. I really appreciate you guys for the love. So, I mean, I just want to clarify here. I actually don't really take it as like a diss when people say that I look like a woman. I think that like...
You get a lot?
David, I appreciate you for the $1.11 on Venmo. Yeah, sure I do. Pauline, I appreciate you for the $10 on Venmo for schooling MAGA weirdos. I really appreciate you for the love, Pauline. Let's get some W's in the chat for Pauline for the $10. Like, you're just saying that I'm pretty. How am I supposed to take that in a negative way? Like, thank you. Okay? And Carlia, I appreciate you for the $5 on Venmo saying that John has mommy issues. I appreciate you for the love, Carlia. How am I supposed to take that as a diss?
Tweaker.
Okay, so can you like respond to the fact that you think I'm pretty? Do you think
Did you
I'm
have
pretty,
friends
John?
in high school?
Yeah, I did have friends in high school. But do you think I'm pretty?
No, I don't think you're pretty.
Wait, so you don't think that women are pretty?
If I call you a girl, that doesn't mean I'm calling you pretty. What?
Wait, so you don't think women are pretty, John?
No, I think you look.
Wait,
like
you
a
don't
girl.
think that women are pretty?
What, bro? How can you ask me? I don't think that women are pretty.
Are men better? Are men better?
No.
No, you're just so alpha. Okay, Emily, I appreciate you for the $3 on Vim. I appreciate you for the love. Okay, he got banned. We're gonna move on to our next guest. we're gonna see what our next guest has to say. Melissa, thank you for being Melissa with the $10 for saying thank you. Melissa, I really appreciate you for the $10. Got her with the $5 as well, and Autumn with the $1. You guys are going crazy on the Venmo and Cash App right now. Let's get some massive W's in the chat for Melissa, Gunner, and Autumn. I really appreciate you guys for the love. Thank you guys so much. You guys are showing so much love on Venmo and PayPal right now. Thank you all so much. Let's get some massive W's for the donors in the chat while we get our next guest up here. Thank you for the manifesting. And Shannon, thank you so much for the $10 on PayPal for John to get therapy for anger management. I really appreciate you for that love. Massive W's in the chat for Shannon for the $10. And Bree with the $5 on Venmo saying John is jelly, for real. What's up, Corey? How old are you?
18.
Are you voting for Trump?
Yes, I am.
Okay, why in the hell would you be doing that?
Because I want to see the economy improve. You know, I want to be able to go to the grocery store. I want to be able to buy food, spend my money. I know.
Nicole, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. I have great lipstick you could borrow. Thank you, Nicole. Send it my way. Go ahead.
It's just like, I think it's kind of unfortunate that, you know, it's hard for people to afford their groceries, their bills.
Oh, yeah, like inflation. Do you think that the Biden-Harris administration caused inflation?
I mean, yeah, I feel like,
Okay, how so? How did they do that?
well, I mean, I just feel like usually economy is a bad economy, a good economy. It's usually put on the president. That would be.
Okay. Okay, so like something happens in our country, the president is to blame. Paula, thank you for the $5 on Venmo for making MAGA cry. I appreciate you for the love. W's for Paula in the chat. Let's use your logic here. I have a question. So when the highest rate of unemployment happened in our country since the Great Depression at 14.8% in April of 2020 under Trump, is Trump to blame for that?
But we're not. That's not comparable. We're not in COVID right now.
Oh, it's totally comparable because you're saying if anything happens in the country to the economy, you could blame it on the president. So that was something that happened in the country.
That's not what I said, but typically it would fall under the president's responsibility to look after our economy and improve it in any way that they could.
So I'm asking you a question. It's very simple. Did Trump cause the highest rate of unemployment since the Great Depression because it happened under his presidency?
No, but
No.
that's not my.
So if Trump didn't cause the highest rate of unemployment that's happened in our country since the Great Depression, how did the Biden-Harris administration cause inflation?
Well, you're saying that I have to, you know, consider like another variable, but what variable are you saying caused inflation for this presidency?
The same variable that caused a high rate of unemployment. That would be COVID. So in the same way COVID caused, right, people to quit working, which caused the highest rate of unemployment since the Great Depression under Trump's term, it also caused global inflation in every country across the world. Fun fact, though, the U.S. has actually had the quickest rebound from the global inflation onset by the pandemic out of any other country in the G7.
So, and I'm asking you, you know, I also think like there's often like a negative connotation towards, you know, I said I'm going to vote for Trump. Like I'm not super Republican. I'm from Massachusetts.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Go for it.
Would you vote for someone that's been held civilly liable for the violent sexual abuse of a woman?
Civilly liable or convicted?
Civilly liable.
That doesn't really mean anything to me.
Okay, so what's the difference?
I mean, I just feel like, the American principle would be, you know, innocent until proven guilty.
That's not your principle. He was proven guilty, but you still think he's innocent.
By the courts or by like the internet?
By the courts, by a civil court.
But regardless, I'm not really, okay, well, my point is, you know, I'm not really worried about that. I'm not looking to vote on somebody based on, you know, how I feel emotionally. I just want to see, I want to be able to live my life. I want to be able to afford my bills. I want my family to be able to afford their bills. And
okay, so if Trump was held civilly liable for the rape of a little girl, you'd still vote for him if you thought he was better for the economy?
That's kind of an extreme example, don't you think? I mean,
I don't see how that's any more extreme than what happened, that being he was held civilly liable for the rape of an adult woman. Would you say that being held civilly liable for the rape of an adult woman isn't extreme enough?
I didn't say it's not extreme. I'm just saying, like, if Kamala, not that she has, but if she was, you know, accused or of like a crime that you would consider similar to that, would you still support her?
Yeah, no. So if like she was a rapist and Trump wasn't, I wouldn't vote for Harris.
And would that persuade you to vote Republican?
I think it would persuade me from not voting for Harris, and then like there'd be further delineation like needed to like say if I was gonna like positively vote for anyone else. But I definitely wouldn't be voting for Harris if she was a rapist. But I mean, I'm just asking you, right? If you'd say the same thing about Trump, right? Would you still vote for Trump if he was held civilly liable for the rape of a little girl?
I guess I would not, but
okay. So then why would you vote for him if he was held civilly liable for the rape of an adult woman? What's the difference there?
Because honestly, and I mean, at this point, I actually, can I rebuttal with a question for you? Do you believe that, and this is somewhat unrelated, I guess, but this also, the topic of rape has nothing to do with what I was talking about, but do you believe that if Kamala was elected as our president, do you think that do you genuinely, excuse me, believe that she would work towards improving the economy?
No fucking shit. She would be phenomenal for the economy. She has some of the best economic proposed policy that I have ever seen in a candidate. She wants to reduce income inequities. She wants to make life easier for the low and middle class. She wants to reduce taxes for over 100 million American workers. And she has a plan for how much it would cost over the next 10 years. And she has a plan for how she would pay for it. What does Trump have? He wants to reinvigorate the TCGA, reduce federal tax, if not eliminate them, and replace them with tariffs that would destroy the low and middle class by causing inflation. It would destroy the American businesses by causing exports to go to shit. And it would cost $3.4 trillion, and he has no fucking clue how to pay for it. Right? Kamala Harris wants to fight for the low and middle class with a nuanced plan that would be self-sufficient, cost the government net nothing over the course of the next 10 years. Then Trump just wants to reduce taxes for rich people and corporations and plans to pay for it by taxing the poor people.
I mean, you think that, so do you believe in taxing the rich?
Yeah, I believe in taxing the rich a disproportionate amount of their income in comparison to the low and the middle class, because individuals in the low and middle class, their income disproportionately matters more than rich people's.
Right, but so, and say, like, I guess we could use California as an example, you know, and there's a lot of big businesses, lots of rich people, lots of poor people, and in this state, you know, these taxes, they're mainly being paid by these huge companies, these mega rich people. If the taxes are crazy high, these people, they can afford to they can up and leave. They can take their company with them. They can move to another state. They don't have to pay. They could move their company to Texas. They don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah, so are you saying, like, if we rose the corporate tax rate, that businesses would leave America and, like, unemployment would increase? Well, that's a lie, and we know that's a lie because of empirics.
Well, not America. I didn't mean America. I didn't say America. I used California as an example.
Okay, I'm confused of what your point is here. All right, like if you're saying that raising the corporate tax rate would cause businesses to leave, well, we know that's false because we had higher corporate tax rates in the 60s and 70s with lower rates of unemployment than we have now.
Well, it's not false. Lots of people are moving their businesses specifically out of California because the taxes are so high.
Okay. I mean, they may have incentive to, like, move from one state in the country to another state of the country, but because our country as a whole has the largest consumer base, even with higher corporate tax rates, they don't have an incentive to leave to another country.
Right, but they can still move to another state where they're not paying those taxes, so then the taxes that they were previously paying.
I don't like. I mean, there's trade-offs. Like in Texas, it's just higher property taxes. You move down there and you get a two-bed, two-bath house, and you pay like $2,000 a month in property tax. But I think, you know, that is what it is. If a business wants to move from one state to another, I don't see any issue with that.
Okay. I mean, we can agree to disagree.
What are we disagreeing on? Like, maybe I'm just not tracking the conversation here. Like, hey, there's 5,000 people in the room. Maybe we could just watch the people watching. What is Corey's point here?
I can tell you my point. My point is, if these huge companies, these rich people, if they're leaving the state, then they're not paying all the taxes. So now, who does it fall on? It falls on the lower class citizens.
Businesses that leave California no longer pay California taxes. Okay, how does this, like, conceptually wrap into our conversation about, like, Kamala Harris's proposed tax policy and Trump's proposed tax policy? Could you make the connection to me there?
Yeah, absolutely. My point is, so if we're raising these corporate taxes, they are paying for the taxes, in California. If they're leaving, they're not paying these taxes. It falls on the middle and lower class people.
This is federal tax policy. It applies in all 50 states.
I'm sorry, what?
So I'm talking about their proposed federal tax policy that would apply to all American citizens, all American-owned corporations, right? Not just people in California.
Yes, okay. I'm sorry. And I understand. I was maybe confused by the conversation a little bit. That was just an example I was using.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Also was wondering about your opinions on, like, border policy, things like that.
Yeah, I'd say that Trump doesn't give a fuck about the southern border. He was the one that wanted the crisis to continue. He was the one that shot down bipartisan legislation in the House and the Senate because he wanted to be able to campaign on the continuance of the crisis. And if I was a conservative and I cared about immigration, Trump wouldn't be my man. He passed no effective legislation on the border while he was president. He had to misappropriate DoD funds to build less than 50 miles of a southern border wall. And the only reason he had low crossings in the totality of his presidency was because COVID hit. He got lucky and he was able to enact Title 42, giving him more constitutional power over the border than any president we've ever had before. And the only reason we've had a crisis at the southern border during Biden and Harris's term was because of the expiration of Title 42, which caused a surge of people who had been turned away over the course of the last 2-3 years to come into our country. But yeah, there's a little bit of a border talk. But Corey, was there like any other main points that you wanted to bring up here before I move on to my next guest?
No, I'm about done. But actually, one last question, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure how accurate this is. Is it true that Kamala is now endorsing a border policy for her presidency?
Dude, she's been endorsing border policy for like the last 3 years. Like we understand that we had a Republican drafted bipartisan border legislation on the floor of the House in 2022 being drafted that the presidency supported, and the only reason it got rejected was because Trump told the Republicans in Congress to reject it. Like they've really cared about the border. They've wanted to address the crisis. They just haven't had the ability to do so because of because of Trump's control on the Republicans in Congress, right? But they ultimately implemented a executive order that reduced daily crossings to the same rates we had at the end of Trump's term.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you for coming up and being respectful, Corey. Have a good one. We're gonna go to move on to our next guest here, y'all. Everyone, just give us a minute. If you're voting for Trump, make sure to let me know down in that chat. I've been like inviting people up as these conversations have continued. They've been saying crazy shit in the chat. They have been too scared to join. But if you want to support me, guys, my Venmo, my PayPal, they're in my bio. I get 100% of the proceeds on those platforms. I could give you a shout out and even read off an attached message. Barb, what's going on? Are you voting for Trump? Barb is not here. Okay, moving on. Deborah, thank you for the $20 on Venmo for being a smart, gorgeous, hairless, jobless dude. Deborah, I appreciate you for the 5,000 people in here. Let's get some W's in the chat for Deborah. I appreciate you for the $20. That means the world to me. Thank you so much for your donation. It allows me to continue to do this every day. Thank you so much, Deborah. What's up? Are you voting for Trump?
No, I'm not.
Hey, base, W's for the guest. Moving on to our next guest here. We're going to go to get our next guest up in here as we speak. And if you're getting an invitation from me to join the live, you should accept it. I'm inviting people up that are spamming MAGA down below in the chat. But surprisingly, y'all don't want to talk. Who would have ever known? Hello, are you voting for Trump? All right, they're automatically leaving. Or not. Welcome back. Hi, KEF. Ian, Don, you're on the live.
Oh my God, no, I'm not voting. I didn't mean to get up here. I'm sorry.
No worries at all. No worries at all. Have a good rest of your day. Moving on to our next guest here. Everyone just give us a minute. Yo, Lily with the $40 on Venmo. That is crazy. Lily, thank you so much for the $40 on Venmo saying love you. I love you too, Lily. That is so kind of you. I want to see at least 400 W's for Lily in that chat. Thank you so much for the $40 on Venmo. That is huge. Thank you so much for the love. W's for Lily down below. What's up? Hey, what's up? You said that I was paid by the DNC in the comment section.
Yeah, you are.
Okay. So are you ready for me to ask for evidence for your claim and then you're not to be able to provide any? Because
So have you ever heard of Palette Media?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you work for them?
I don't work for Palette Media, no.
You're not associated with Palette Media in any way?
In any way, that's right.
Huh.
Oh, shit. See how easy like your fringe conspiratorial bullshit is debunked?
Well, see how easy you let me on even though you're a faggot?
Okay, so that's a pipeline. They lose a conversation because they just believe false things to be true and then they slur. I apologize for his use of slurs, chat. My apologies. That's, just the MAGA voter base saying the quiet part out loud. Anthony, what's up? How old are you?
Everyone follow me on TikTok. Trump, follow me on TikTok.
Yeah, but try to defend your position. Why are you voting for Trump?
He doesn't like illegal immigrants.
Okay. He doesn't like illegal, undocumented migrants. So yeah, he doesn't like undocumented migrants so much that he's willing to destroy our economy over it. If we offered like pathways of residency and citizenship to undocumented migrants that are in our country and aren't like violent, that would increase our GDP by nearly $2 trillion over the course of the next 10 years. But he'd rather just propose trash policy of mass deportation that has never been done and it's never worked because it's not physically possible.
Vote for Anthony.
Okay. We got a real bright guy in the live. Goodbye, Anthony. We're just going to go to move on to our next guest. What's up, Ass Man? How old are you?
I'm 58.
Are you voting for Chomp?
Yep.
Okay, why in the hell would you be doing that?
Because Kamala is not qualified to be president.
Okay.
And I would never vote for a woman.
Oh, okay. So, is it possible that you could go into a more quiet room so we could have a conversation? You have a bit of background noise. Okay, but yeah, no, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Just go into a more quiet room. I don't know if you have spatial awareness. You might like run into a couple walls on your way.
Listen,
just give him some time. Yeah, man, Bass. So you said that you never vote for a woman. So that means that you think men are better at leading than women. Why do you think that?
Because they are. Men are builders, women are destroyers.
Okay, so men are builders, women are destroyers. Men commit 95% of violent crimes. Men commit vast majority of self-unalivings. Men commit vast majority of substance abuse as an unhealthy and coping mechanism to deal with unprocessed emotion. Men commit vast majority of irrational, adverse decision-making, such as gambling, drunk driving, and reckless driving. Men pay more for their insurance premiums because they're literally more likely to destroy. Meanwhile, women have higher IQs and EQs on average. They perform better in school. They get more degrees, and they're better at surgery. But men...
Women are better at surgery?
Yeah.
Women are better at surgery?
Women are literally better at surgery.
Kamala slept her way up. That's all she did. She was sleeping with that Willie Brown guy.
Oh.
And you can't tell me that's not true.
I actually can tell you that that's not true.
No.
How many votes did she get in her
misinformation.
Run? Spreading misinformation. How many votes did she get in her run for DA?
Listen, she slept her way up. Okay, are you denying she did that?
Yeah,
yes or no?
I'm literally denying she did that, and I'm trying to ask you a question.
She was seeing a married man.
So she actually wasn't. They were legally divorced, but
no. She was seeing in other words, she was sleeping with her boss, and he helped her get up. That's how she got up.
Super not true. So once again, they've been.
Oh my God.
So see how like I'm trying to like engage in a dialogue here, then you're just like banging two rocks together, click clacking, trying to make words. So, anyways, back to what I was saying. Do you know how many votes she got in a run for DA of California, DA of San Francisco?
Tell me.
85,000. Do you know how many votes she got in a run for AG of California?
Tell me.
4.4 million. Out of those 4.5 million people that voted for her, how many of them did she have to sleep with?
Willie Brown.
Okay. So she had to sleep with one of the 4.5 million people that voted for her, and she slept her way to the top.
Those people are irrelevant, but he had the power to.
Oh, so the 4.5 million people that voted for her are irrelevant. No, they're not irrelevant because if they didn't vote for her, she wouldn't be in the position she is today.
No, she's in that position she is today because she slept with that guy.
No, literally, that's absolutely false, right? You can't say that
it's true,
the constituents of a country or a state that vote our public officials into office are irrelevant. They were literally the decision makers of why they're in office. They are so relevant. It was necessary.
She wouldn't be in that position if it wasn't for him.
Right, and I've already disputed that. Maybe another question I could ask
if
women can sleep their way to the. I literally have. If women could sleep their way to the top, why isn't there more women at the top?
There are a lot of women at this.
No, they're disproportionately men. They're disproportionately men. 80% of Fortune 500 CEOs are men. 95% of official leaders in our political systems and government are men.
No. Do you know how many black women are giving high positions? You know how many black mayors we have?
Oh my gosh. Let's see. So let's see here. 15% of Fortune 500 CEOs are black. 20% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women. That's a very statistically small bit of individuals at the top would be black women.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Black women right now run the black community. Okay, they run the household. They're raising our children, but the black community is at the bottom. Why do you think that is? Because black women
Because
are
of
running
slavery and its aftermath?
it. No. Because of
200 years of systemic oppression? How
No,
many
no, no, no,
years?
no, no, no.
No. I'm asking you a question. How many years have black people existed in America without systemic legal oppression? 65 years. 65 years, black people were racially segregated through the use of systemic, legal, governmental processes from white people. 65 years, black people have existed in America without legal forms of oppression. And you're saying that you would expect all black people in America to be on par with white people after experiencing slavery and its aftermath and being free of legal, I'm not even talking about social oppression, for 65 years? You're delusional. One of the main reasons why we'd see, right, systemic barriers, right, particularly within like the average wealth of a white American compared to a black American, is because of the lack of generational wealth caused by slavery and its aftermath. Studies would demonstrate that generational wealth would build up over the course of about 6 to 8 generations.
I disagree.
Black Americans have been free of systemic and legal forms of oppression for 65 years. That's less than 2 generations.
So you think black people in this country act normal? Is that what you're saying to me?
I literally, can you repeat your question? You have MAGA Mobile.
Okay. Were you saying that?
You can't even form a coherent sentence, but yet men are better at leading than women.
Most of them are raised in these dysfunctional households. And that's the reason why they act the way they do in this society. They are at the very bottom. It's not because of slavery, it's because of the way they think, their mindset. So you want to play the Olympics, don't do that. Okay? It's because of their mindset.
So if slavery never happened. Okay, so if slavery never happened,
I'm not saying it never happened. I'm just saying slavery happened.
I don't expect you. I don't expect you. Zach, thank you for the $5. Zach, thank you for the $5 in Venmo for. Okay. Sorry, there's just the MAGA Mobile in conjunct with the racism, in conjunct with the misogyny, in conjunct with the background noise. We're just gonna move on. Thank you for the hand arts. I appreciate you for that. And Zach, thank you for the $5 on Venmo once again. Hey, what's up? How old are you?
I'm 29.
Are you voting for Trump?
No.
All right. Appreciate you for coming up. We are just looking to debate Trump supporters. If you're voting for Trump, make sure to let me know in that chat. We're going to move on to our next guest literally right now. Yeah, great example of the MAGA cult, for real. Hey, what's up? How old are you?
Can you hear me?
I sure can. How old are you?
26.
Nice. Are you voting for Trump?
Let me say this.
Are you voting for Trump?
You know I'm not. But let me say this, please.
10 seconds.
I'm so sick and tired of you racists speaking for black people. I'm so tired of it. I'm so sick of it, man. That's all.
You know what? That's fucking fair for you to say.
Oh
W gas. I appreciate you for coming up. Thanks,
Dean.
Yeah, no, totally fair. Totally fair for you to come up here and voice your opinion. Let's get some W's in the chat for the guests. Fucking literally, dude. I appreciate you for coming up, man. W's for the guests. What's up, Greg? Are you voting for Trump?
Of course I'm voting for Trump.
Oh, jeez, your conviction is terrifying. Okay.
Nah,
why are you voting for Trump?
you know, I've listened to you now for like a half hour. Listen to you, right? You seem like a young kid that can recite a lot of things that you read, right? But what have you been through in your life?
I sound educated.
That's actually, that's a difference between education. I always tell people, I know people that go to college, you know, read books, become thinking that they went to college and got a college degree and that they're educated on life because they went to college. But education comes from experience, my man. Education comes from experience of living different types of lives, being a well-rounded individual by traveling, exploring different places, experiencing different perspectives of life. And then when you do that, that's more educational than actually going to college or reading your little books that you like to read, I see, that made you...
Karen, thank you for the $5.50 on Venmo for dealing with these idiots. I appreciate you for the love for the on Venmo, Karen.
Stop interrupting him.
Oh, wow.
He interrupts a lot.
We got Mr. Bodyguard down here. Okay.
Well, so, I noticed that you do that. You like to just, you know, recite a lot of things, and then you like to jump in and just say bullshit, right? But let me just tell you, right? How old are you?
I'm 19.
Exactly. Bro, I wipe my asshole with you, bro. Like, yo, what have you done in your life that makes you experience on life? Bro, all you doing is reciting shit that you read.
Here's the issue.
What makes you educational? You're 19. You haven't went to college.
Here's the issue.
You haven't went to college. What makes you educational?
I have, right? I've already finished an associate's. I'm 2 years in. But Tamil, I appreciate you for the $2 on PayPal. I appreciate you for the love. Greg, here's my issue for you. First of all,
I'm listening.
Woo, I'm 19. I'm literally the boogeyman to like 75% of these decrepit old men.
You're no Baba Yaga.
That come up onto the live and say, because of my age, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Mary, I appreciate you for the $10 on Cash App. Let's get some W's in the chat for Mary for the $10. Greg,
you know how to recite things that you read.
Greg,
you know how to recite things that you have read.
I'm half your age, and I have more emotional maturity and self-control than you do. Crazy,
bro.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Greg. You're right, Greg. I am 19 years old. I lack life experience.
And what have you been through? What experiences have you been through? Let me talk to you about real life, homie. Have you been homeless? You look like a fucking.
I have been.
No. I like this comment. I like this comment. I really like this comment because I hear this about
I have been. I don't see what that has to do, actually.
You ever heard the comment? Opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one.
Anna, thank you for the $25 on Venmo because this guy is so old, mad, and lame. I appreciate you for the $25 on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love. Let's get some W's in the chat for Anna. Thank you for the $15. Thank you so much.
Motherfucker loves to run his mouth. Anyway, so you've been homeless, and I'm not talking about sleeping on your friend's couch for 4 months. I'm talking about sleeping on the street, living in a tent, or being in a homeless shelter before.
Okay.
Have you been homeless?
No, exactly, I've been homeless, but I haven't slept on this.
You know what the funny thing is? I love
Michelle,
thank
you. Michelle, thank you for the $25 on Venmo. I really appreciate you for the love. Let's get some W's in the chat for Michelle. I really appreciate you for the $25 on Venmo. Thank you so much for the love.
$25, yo. You just do this for money, I notice. You just like to recite shit just to get money off of this. And all you do is just read. But you know what the funny thing is? Let me ask you something. What state you in?
I'm in Colorado.
All right, I'm in New York, right? And you know what I always laugh about, motherfuckers, right? So everyone thinks New York is a Democrat state, right?
Nelsie, thank you so much for the $30 on PayPal for being smarter than Greg. Holy shit. I want to see at least 100 W's in the chat for Nelsie. And Megan, thank you for the $5 on Venmo for Angry Greg. Thank you for the love, Nelsie. And Kira, thank you for the $10 on Venmo. Stop this man from discrediting the amazing and valuable evidence that you provide. Thank you for the love. And Farah, thank you for the $3 on Venmo as well. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right, so yeah, you just run your mouth. Anyway, so New York State, you know, everyone thinks New York State's a Democrat state. But you know what the funny thing is? It's actually a Republican state. See, the only areas see, that's your naivety. You're a dumb child, bro. See, your dumbness is that you don't understand is that all true Americans are Republican. Let me get it down to you this way. Hold up, I'm gonna tell you straight up, because you ignorant child, I see. So the only place that votes blue or Democrat in New York State is New York City, in Albany and in Buffalo, the city areas. So all the rest of the counties of New York State, the farmers, the guy that provides the city people with to eat food, the guy that builds the roads, even my boy who's an iron worker who works in New York City for the local 40 iron worker union, he is a Republican. He lives in upstate New York. Guess what? All of New York State is Republican. Your farmers, your motherfucking infrastructure, your truck drivers are Republicans. Americans, true Americans, are Republicans. Go out to Oklahoma. Go out to Iowa. You know where your food comes from? Guess what? When you go to McDonald's to get French fries, they come from potatoes in Idaho. And guess what? Idaho's a Republican state.
Kendall, thank you so much for the $15 on Venmo to shut this ugly dum-dum up. I will when he's finished yapping. Let's get some W's in the chat for Kendall for the $15. And Ava, thank you for the $5. Lindsay, thank you for the $5. Stephanie, thank you for the $5. And Jason, thank you for the $5. And Tammy with the $10. Greg is lying for no reason. Erica, thank you for the $10 as well. Let's get some massive W's in the chat for the doubters. You guys are popping off right now. W's all around. Is it my turn?
For what? For us to tell you how much money we're making?
Nathan with the $100 on Venmo. Venmo. Yo, holy shit. Nathan, I want to see at least 100 W's for Nathan in the chat right now for the $100 on Venmo. That is crazy, bro. That is absurd. Are you joking? Holy fucking shit. And Lisa, thank you for the galaxy. I want to see at least 1,000 W's for Nathan in the chat literally right now. I really appreciate you for the $100. And Ebony with a $15 on PayPal. And Mary with a $20 on Venmo. Let's get some W's for Nathan, Mary, and Ebony in the chat right now. I really appreciate you guys for the love. Y'all are popping the fuck off right now. Holy shit. Y'all are phenomenal. Thank you guys so much. You guys are great. Thank you so much. Massive W's down below in the chat. They both ran, by the way. They didn't even want to hear my response. I was going to eat them up too. Unfortunate. Get them on the next one. Mariah, thank you for the $10 on Venmo as well. And Shari with the $10 as well. Let's get some W's for Mariah and Shari right now in the chat. I really appreciate you guys. Massive W's for Mariah and Shari. Y'all are popping off today. And Lexi with the $30 on Venmo saying to kick Greg. Yo, let's get at least 300 W's in the chat right now for Lexi for the $30 on Venmo. That is phenomenal. Thank you for the love, Lexi. What's up, Gavin? Are you voting for Trump?
Yes, I am.
All right, why in the hell do you be doing that?
Just some of his policies I agree with more than Kamala Harris's.
Okay, first of all, Gavin, you're making your voice deeper. Makes me think you're a minor. What year were you born in?
2000.
And how old are you?
24.
Okay, Gavin. All right, buddy. Moving on to our next guest here. Let's go ahead and see what our next guest has to say. We're going to get our next guest up in the box literally right now. So everybody just give us a minute while we do that. Everyone be patient. We got our next debate underway right now. If you're a MAGA, let me know in that chat. What's up? How old are you? Hi, hello. All right, they're not here. We're going to move on to our next guest. For the 6.1 thousand people hanging out in the live with us today, if you're MAGA, let me know in the chat. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next guest, get our next debate going. Make sure to hit that follow button if you haven't already, chat. I go live and I do these debates every day. What's up, Derek? Are you voting for Trump?
Actually, I can't vote because I'm Canadian, so my question...
Sorry, man. We're going to move on to our next guest. Everyone just be patient while we get them up here. We got them loading in right now. All right. Let's go and get our next guest, Noah Ellis, up in the box. And Brian, thank you for the $5 on Venmo saying, bro, I'm homeless and living in the street and I still won't vote for Trump. Brian, I'm going to give you your $5 back. Please do not send me $5, especially if you are living on the streets. And in fact, Brian, you should DM me. You have my Venmo, just you could follow up with a text. Noah, what's up, man? How old are you? Okay, Noah left. We're going to move on to our next guest. Everyone just give us a minute. Everyone be patient. Everyone be patient, y'all. We got our next guest loading in right now. Alrighty. Everyone be patient. We're still just trying to get our next debate underway. All right. Hey, guys. Yeah, if you let me know right now in the chat if you're MAGA. We're still just kind of looking for our next guest here. But yeah, Brian, man, I hope that, things turn around for you. Seriously, reach out to me. I'd love to help. We're going to move on to our next guest, so everyone just be patient. All right, Dylan Welch, I got you with an invite up. All right. Yo, no one is loading in. This is crazy. All right, we're still looking for our next guest. Don't vote for Trump if you love America. Literally, dead ass. All right, still looking for our next guest. I don't see anybody in the chat spamming MAGA. This is rough, guys. Rough day debates. Hit the follow button if you haven't already. Share the live. Double tap that phone screen. You guys already know it's done. We're still just looking for a next guest. This sucks. What's up, Marty? Are you voting for Trump? See, Marty was just in the chat spamming MAGA. Marty doesn't even have a mic. What the heck is going on, dude? Great. All right. Yo, Meredith, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo to share with Brian. Brian, DM me.
Hey, Dean.
Dude. Meredith, that's very kind of you. W's for Meredith down below.
What's going on?
What's up, you guys? Are you guys voting for Trump?
I am absolutely voting for Donald Trump.
I am.
All right. Why are you guys voting for Trump?
Because he's the better candidate. He made America more affordable and safer.
Rachel, thank you for the galaxy.
And he'll do it again because he's got the receipts. He's done it before.
Yeah. So how did he make America more affordable?
Inflation was down. Everything was cheaper. Gas, food, everything. And that's a fact.
Yeah. But how did he cause everything to be cheaper? Or
well, he was running.
One second.
Go ahead.
One second. Or alternatively, how did the Biden-Harris administration cause everything to be more expensive?
Well, they were running shit, and then look what happened. Everything went up. Under Trump, when he was running
if
stuff,
you're just going to say that, well, Biden and Harris caused inflation because it occurred under their presidency, would I be able to say that Donald Trump caused the highest rate of unemployment since the Great Depression at 14.8% because that occurred under his presidency in April of 2020?
right? Well, he doesn't have control over nature, and that's because of COVID. You know what I'm saying? But what he
So if
does
we
have
could
control
appeal to
over is the
external
economy.
variables, if we could appeal to external variables to explain how things could happen in our economy, such as the rate of unemployment under Trump, couldn't we also appeal to that same external variable to explain the inflation that we had here at home in the U.S.?
No, because Biden can control the economy, right? And Trump cannot control nature. And the COVID thing is nature, and he couldn't control nature. You know what I mean?
Well,
so
what
the
we'd be
inflation was
saying
still
here,
down.
what we'd be saying here is that nature, right, COVID, caused, right, like particular economic indicators to be terrible, such as the high rate of unemployment under Trump's term, right? And it also caused inflation, right? And like the evidence I'd have for this is the fact that the inflation that we experienced here at home in the U.S. wasn't local to the U.S. In fact, it happened all around the world in literally every single country. It was global. But fun fact, the U.S. had the quickest global response to the inflation onset by the pandemic out of any other country in the G7.
Right. But it doesn't change the fact that the inflation was lower under Trump. So right now we're debating over why a fact is a fact. You know what I'm saying? But the fact is,
well, I mean, like I don't think that you're understanding my perspective here. Right? Inflation was low under Trump, but as Trump didn't cause it to be lower and Biden and Harris didn't cause it to be higher, that doesn't give you any incentive or reason to vote for one candidate over another. Like I could give you an analogy. Right, while Trump was president, I was single. While Biden and Harris have been in office, I've had a girlfriend. Should I vote for Harris because I want to keep my girlfriend?
Look, Trump does not have control over your love life. He has control over the economy when he was president. Okay, and that's just that.
In the same way that neither of the two presidents have had control over my love life, neither of the two presidents have really directly influenced inflation to decrease or increase.
They have control over the economy. Okay.
Okay. So how did the Biden-Harris administration cause the higher rates of unemployment? Or sorry, inflation?
By being president, by running.
What did they do? What did they do? What did they run? How did they cause the higher rate of inflation?
I mean, we can only speculate why a fact is a fact, but the fact is it was higher under Biden and lower under Trump. And so you're just gonna say it was higher under one in comparison to the other? That's a correlation causation fallacy, right? No,
just because two variables are associated with one another doesn't mean that one caused the other one. So did Trump cause the highest rate of unemployment that we've had since the Great Depression in April of 2020?
All right. Well, the fallacy thing you just mentioned is invalid because
not at all.
Yes, it is because he has control over economy. Okay, those are like
bro. Did Trump have control over the economy?
Absolutely, because he was
okay. So then he controlled the rate of unemployment to reach an all-time high of 14.8%, right?
No, because that's because of COVID. He can't.
No, oh my God! So if COVID can cause the highest rate of unemployment since the Great Depression, why can't it cause inflation?
Hey, Dean.
1 second.
COVID.
Sorry, man.
Right, he has no control over COVID. Okay?
Answer my question. If COVID could cause the highest rate of unemployment since the Great Depression, why can't COVID cause inflation?
Why? That makes no sense because those two questions are invalid. You know what I mean? Just tell me.
No, you can't just call my question invalid. Right? Here's what I'm trying to say. Trump didn't cause the 14.8% rate of unemployment at the end of his term. COVID did. Okay, how did COVID cause that high rate of unemployment? Like, that is not speculation.
That's what you think. It is a speculation. I mean, again, we're debating over why a fact is a fact.
You think that it's speculatory for me to say that COVID caused like the 14.8% rate of unemployment in April of 2020, when in April of 2020 we saw local and state level governments across our country starting to shut down businesses, telling people to stay at home and isolate? That's not speculation. That's a fact. Okay. Right, but what I'm saying here is in the same way that COVID caused this high rate of unemployment in 2020 under Trump's presidency, right? COVID also caused the levels of inflation that we've seen here at home in America under Biden and Harris's, right? And once again, this inflation wasn't local to the U.S., it was global, it happened in every single country across the globe.
Right. So what I said, what the speculation was, we're speculating why a fact is a fact. That's what I said about speculation. And when you say, what do
you mean by that?
Yeah, because it is a fact that inflation was higher under Biden and lower under Trump. That's a fact, right? And what we're doing now is we're speculating why a fact is a fact. Maybe
Wait,
because
wait,
of the trade.
explaining how things can happen in the world around us isn't necessarily speculation. I'd say that speculation is like coming to a conclusion without ample reason, but we have ample reason to come to a conclusion insofar as what caused the high rate of inflation.
Yeah, you think? Yeah, I know, because you think
Like when I say if I go outside and like it's really hot outside and I say, well, it's extra hot outside today because the sun is shining more directly on where I live for a longer period of time, is that speculatory or is that an explanation for why it is hotter out today based upon fact and reason?
that is still. I mean, that could still be speculation because you never know. Somebody right next to you could be blowing hot air next to you. You know what I'm saying? That's why you're hot, or maybe because you're wearing coat or like a jacket in the fucking hot sun. You know what I mean?
Okay, so you're calling like
more
climate.
context. You know what I mean?
You're saying that you're calling like climate science speculatory?
Right. You're saying, why are you hot outside? Is it because of the sun? Well, maybe are you wearing a jacket?
Okay.
Are you wearing mittens?
No, I was referencing like the temperature outside. So when I
Right.
say so if someone gets like shot in the chest by a bullet and they die, would it be speculatory for me to say that the reason they died is because they got shot in the chest with a bullet?
Well, if there's documentations and if he got shot, he got shot. You know what I'm saying? Right.
Is that speculation?
I mean, it would not be, because if it was guaranteed that he was shot in the chest, then that's it. You know what I mean? But just because there's a wound there, we can't speculate that the reason why there's a wound there because of a gunshot, unless there's 100% certain proof that he was shot he was shot. You know what I mean? Just because there's a wound there doesn't mean he got
What
shot.
the fuck is this guy saying?
No, I mean, what do you mean what I'm saying?
You
Look,
are
if
smart.
if you have a wound,
You are
right?
Edwin. I just want to let you know that you are so incredibly smart.
I mean, I am.
Can you name one policy that one second. Can you name one policy that Biden and Harris influenced to get passed that you think caused inflation?
I mean, there's so many things that he's done, and we can only
just name one
speculate
thing that
why
he did that you
inflation
think
was
caused
down under
inflation.
him. What's that?
Name one thing that the Biden-Harris administration did that you think caused inflation.
Well, I can only assume that the inflation went up under Biden. I'm only assuming because nobody really knows what happened. Because it's kind of funny though, because like after a month after just a month after.
So
the Ukraine
during the
invasion,
summertime, people eat more
inflation
ice cream.
spiked.
And there's one second. So during the summertime, people eat more ice cream, and there's also higher rates of murder. Would it be okay for me to assume that eating more ice cream causes the higher rates of murder?
Eating more ice cream? Well, that's kind of like. I mean, that question is kind of like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? That's kind of invalid.
I'm talking about, it's not invalid. That's an explanation of a correlation causation fallacy. So just because two variables are associated with one another doesn't mean one variable caused the other. All right, that's the argument that
unless you can control it.
One second, Edwin. And 1 second. That's the argument that you're trying to make right now for the higher rates of inflation that we've seen under the Biden-Harris administration. You're saying because Biden and Harris have been in power and there's been higher rates of inflation, that Biden and Harris's administration caused the higher rates of inflation. So not only is this logic strictly invalid, but this logic can also be used to make Trump look really bad. Because when Trump was in power, we had the highest rate of unemployment since the Great Depression. According to your logic, Trump caused that. While Trump was in power, we had a total net loss in jobs, one of the only presidents to do so. According to your logic, Trump caused that. Under Biden and Harris's administration, we have had 15 million jobs added back to the economy. According to your logic, they caused that. We've had the quickest rebound from inflationary pressures and recessionary pressures onset by the pandemic out of any other country in the world. According to your logic, they caused that. So even according to your logic, Harris is better than Trump.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Chris, thank you for the $10 on Venmo saying, are you $10 richer or is that speculation? That was like a really funny message. I want to get some W's for Chris in the chat. Thank you so much, Chris. And Rachel, thank you so much for the $25 on Venmo for dealing with the idiots. Thank you so much for the love, Rachel. Let's get some W's in the chat for Rachel. Thank you for the $25. And Shonda, thank you for the $10 on Venmo as well. W's for Shonda, Rachel, and Chris. I really appreciate the three of you guys.
So my response to that is, could Trump have messed up and had inflation higher? Could he pass bad policies where inflation would have like skyrocketed under his presidency? Could he have messed it up under his presidency? Yes, he could have. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't. He didn't mess it up.
You're not responding. I'm just going to go ahead and give you one last chance. So if you could say that the pandemic caused the high rate of unemployment under Trump's presidency, why can't I say the pandemic caused the inflation?
Because COVID is not around anymore. Okay, there's no pandemic now.
So the pandemic was around when we saw the peak of inflation, and since then it has only decreased to pre-pandemic levels.
Right.
And this didn't just happen in the U.S. It happened everywhere in the globe. How did the Biden-Harris administration cause inflation in Uganda?
Right. So you're blaming the Biden. Okay. So you're blaming COVID for the inflation, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what my response to that is, whoever's the president has control over the economy.
Okay. How did Biden and Harris cause inflation in Africa, Australia, Asia, and Europe?
Here's the thing. I don't know that, and you don't know that either. We can only speculate why a fact is a fact. We can only speculate why a fact is a fact.
What's the difference between one second? What's the difference between your hypothesis that Biden and Harris caused the global inflation and like the king of King Charles caused inflation? What's the difference there?
The difference here is because Biden and Harris, they control the economy. That's what the president does.
but like King Charles and like the European Parliament, they control their economy. Why couldn't they cause the global inflation?
Well, I can't speak on other countries. I only speak about America. Okay.
Wait, but like the inflation that we saw here in the U.S. was also the same inflation that we saw everywhere across the rest of the globe.
Right, and like I said, the president has control over the economy. You know what I mean? And that's why.
But how did they cause the global inflation?
They cause global inflation.
Also, no, like presidents don't have direct control over the economy. Just I'm putting that out there.
Right.
How do they
you
cause
just answer your question right there. Presidents don't have control over other people's other countries like economy. You know what I mean?
Okay, so then how do you explain this? Then how do you explain the same rate of inflation, if not higher, happening in other countries around the world?
I'm not here to debate for other countries. I'm here to debate between Kamala and the U.S. and everything. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, I mean, if you can't tell me how they caused the inflation, and you can't explain how the same inflation happened across the globe, and I can explain to you how COVID caused inflation, not just here at home in the U.S. but across the globe, you can obviously see whose hypothesis is stronger, right?
Right, but you're just speculating why the inflation
No, it's not
is high.
speculatory.
Because when you say something like that, I can also say it's because of the Ukraine invasion.
One second. I would like to say I'm using reason and fact to explain these things, right? It's not just speculatory.
It is, because you're blaming a certain
Okay, well, I'm just going to go
action.
and move on because you're just wrong.
All right, let's talk about...
Sydney, what's up? Are you voting for Trump?
Dude, Edwin made us sound so stupid. I don't know what was just coming out of that man's mouth, but that was crazy. Yes, I am voting for Trump, but everything that Edwin just said, I could not disagree with more. So I guess there is a variety of all of us, apparently, because I don't know what that man was saying. But anyway,
okay, well, I'm voting for Trump.
Yes, I am voting for Trump. I do consider myself an independent. I do agree with opinions from the right and opinions from the left. So I do consider myself an independent, but when it comes down to voting, I do believe that I'm going to vote for Trump. I think that inflation, I agree with you. I think that you're entirely right. I do think, and I'm not going to act like I have all sorts of information to back it up because I don't, but I do recall when Biden first came into office, things with drilling oil and different things like that. I do believe that the gas could have been heavily impacted by some decisions that he made while he was in office.
Such as like what decision specifically?
Like I said, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I have a ton of information.
Okay. All right.
But
Well, I mean, just to
remember,
clarify, we're currently producing more oil here in the U.S. than any country that has existed in the history of the Earth.
Yeah, I think one large thing for me also, just going off of the inflation topic, because I really don't, he beat it to death and it's just a stupid discussion to me.
I was kind of surprised of how far he was willing to defend his bullshit.
No,
I haven't seen someone willing to go that far to defend their bullshit in months.
The funny part is that there wasn't any logic. I was like, it was crazy. I believe that Trump wants America to flourish. I believe that maybe I should get off here because I don't think I'm going to change anyone's opinion.
Do you mind if I try to change your opinion?
I actually want to ask you, I want to ask you how you feel about this. So there was a bill, I was reading about it earlier in California, saying that illegal immigrants have potential, of course, like if they're approved, to receive $150,000 and 0% interest loans for buying homes.
Thank you for the subscription. I appreciate you for the love. Good.
How do you feel about that? Because I also believe there is no ifs, ands, or buts about the border crisis while Biden has been in office. That is something that that is just a fact. There's nothing you can say to argue that. So I'm curious about your stance on that. That's more what I want to talk about.
Yeah, so first of all, this isn't current California legislation. Second of all, it's just proposed policy. Third of all, it's not just for undocumented migrants, right? It is for everybody in the state of California. They just don't have particular residency requirements. Fifth of all, they still have to meet their state income and taxation requirements. So anyone who would be affected by this legislation would be providing to the economy more than they're taking away. Sixth of all, I don't know. I think that it's fine for right now because I think that our immigration process is terrible. In an ideal world where we have reformed immigration processes, people could seek asylum quicker, there's better pathways to residency and citizenship, and there's not so much of an incentive to enter into our country through illegal means, right? I would say that those things should be classified for residents or citizens, just to offer more incentive for individuals to seek those paths. But as it stands, I don't really have an issue with it. And then, to move on to your point about the crisis, do you think that we have a crisis at the southern border today?
I think that throughout Biden's presidency, we have seen, statistically, the number of brutal crimes that have been performed against Americans by immigrants. I think that factually, statistically, no one can argue with that. I believe that...
Brutal crimes. Are you a U.S. born citizen, Sydney?
Yes.
You are 4 times more likely to commit violent, brutal crimes than undocumented migrants. Also, not to mention that violent crime rates have been on a decline since 2020. Year by year. Yeah.
I understand. Coming on here wasn't necessarily to argue or to change anyone's opinion on Trump because, like I said, I am an independent.
Yes, thank you so much for the subscription. I appreciate you for the love. Good. I'm so sorry for interrupting you.
No, you're good. I am an independent. I do share opinions from both sides. I believe that whoever is going to vote, they're going to vote for who they want. There's nothing that we can really do to change that because everyone is going to do their own independent research.
Yeah.
It was more of I kind of just wanted to hop on here and maybe
can I take your opinions and show the hypocrisy in them?
Sure.
So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So you said that Trump really cares about our country and the people in it, and you said that undocumented migrants are committing violent crimes and are brutalizing U.S. citizens. So those two beliefs are antithetical to one another, because Trump shot down bipartisan legislation in the House and the Senate in 2022, 2023 by calling Republicans and telling them to vote against it. That would have reduced rates of migration significantly, would have put much more funding into making the legal processes for asylum seeking and citizenship much faster, and would have reduced the amount of undocumented migrants coming into our country. And Trump called the Republicans and told them to vote against it because he wanted the crisis to continue so he can campaign on it today. So how could he say that Trump cares about U.S. citizens, but then is just intentionally letting these apparently brutal, violent people to continue to come into our country because it will increase his prospect in the election?
I'm sorry. I'm sitting here watching all of these comments that are back to me. I'm just watching them all flow in. I think, to be honest, all of these comments coming in are really frustrating me. So I think that I'm going to hop off.
All right. I appreciate you coming up, Sydney.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate your opinion. I think that everyone's opinion is, everyone has the right to their opinion. All of these comments back to me, I don't really need all that heat right now, but
okay, have a good one.
I appreciate
you for coming up and being respectful, Sydney.
Hey, Dean.
Hey, what's up? You've been patiently waiting.
Yeah.
My apologies.
For a couple days.
My apologies, man. My apologies. Are you voting for Trump?
That's all right. Yeah.
Okay, why so?
Well, I'm sorry. I'll answer your question. I just had 2 questions for you. Are you friends with Harry Sisson?
Yeah.
Oh, for a long time, right?
Yeah, I've been friends with Harry for a while.
Okay. He seems like he's a really intelligent guy.
Yeah, Harry's great.
But
Harry's great.
how does it feel to have his meat in your mouth?
Okay, well, Harry Sisson's meat is not in my mouth.
I know you're a faggot. Come on, man.
I apologize for his use of slurs. We are going to move on to our next guest. I was expecting him to be respectful. Unfortunate.
Hello.
Hey, what's up? Are you voting for Trump?
So I'm not voting for Trump, but I'm kind of putting my standpoint.
I appreciate you for coming up, and I apologize for kicking you. However, we are just going to talk to people that are voting for Trump. I was like, he waited for so long. He waited patiently. I was expecting him to like actually have a decent conversation with me, but instead he just wanted to slur. I apologize for his use of slurs. Big Rich, how we doing? Are you voting for Trump?
Hey, Dean, just give me 10 seconds. I just want your thoughts on this. I know you're busy and you're looking for Republicans and this and that, but I got a new tax plan that Kamala can run on. Now check this out. Now, I just want you to listen to it. Okay, this is a hard worker's tax plan. And how it works is, it's your tax regularly at 40 hours, right? Anything over 40 hours, it's a 5% reduction in your taxes after 10 hours. Anything over 40 hours. So if you work 80 hours a week, your taxes are reduced by 20%. I think this would be a good thing for hardworking people in America, and I think that we could run on it and people will really feel it. Instead of us paying more money, see, when you start making money, Dean, the more money.
Big Rich, appreciate you for coming up, man. I don't know. I like incentives for the low and the middle class. Not a terrible idea. What's up, Kaylee and Dave? How old are you guys?
I'm 44, Parker.
You're 44.
I'm 20.
Phenomenal. Are you guys voting for Trump?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Katie, are you okay for just like waiting for a second while I talk to Dave?
Yeah, go for it.
Phenomenal. Dave, why are you voting for Trump, man?
The reason why I'm voting for Trump, Parker, is because Barack Obama supports Kamala Harris. And I'm flying over on the 20th of September so I can vote for Donald Trump. I'm in Europe at the moment.
Okay. Sorry, just super incoherent. Anyways, super incoherent reason. Like I don't know what that meant. Anyways, what's up? Why are you voting for Trump?
Hold on. Let me just say one of these commenters have been really pissing me off. Saying
Okay, what has been going on with the guests? Okay, Kate, with all due respect, what's been going on with the guests, bro? I have no fun. I just want some debates. Okay, Kate, I'm gonna ask you a question. In fact, I'm gonna ask you a question. Why do you care about someone that doesn't care about you? Trump is vehemently sexist. He has ill-will treatment towards women, all historically and currently, including sexualization of little girls and even sexual violence towards adult women. So, why do you care about someone that obviously doesn't care about you?
See, you're 19, correct?
Yeah. Wait. Oh, I forgot to ask your age. How old are you?
20.
Okay, phenomenal. Go for it.
Okay, so you're in college, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. How are your interest rates?
Well, interest rates are high right now, right? But
Yes.
who controls the interest rates?
I want to say the economy.
No, the Federal Reserve. So the Federal Reserve controls the interest rates, right? And like maybe we could say that the president would have some control over the Federal Reserve because they could like appoint a chairman. The current chairman is Jerome Powell. Trump wants to keep him. But anyways, do you know why the interest rates are higher right now?
Inflation?
Actually, yeah. Good job. Yeah. So when inflation is high, what the Federal Reserve will do is they'll increase interest rates to make people be more disincentivized to get loans. And when people are more disincentivized to get loans, well, then we see consumer spending goes down. And when consumer spending goes down, so does the rate of inflation. Right. So the Feds have now started to kind of taper off and reduce the interest rates as the rate of inflation has got closer to that historically like low 2%. And we're actually at a 15-month by month low for interest rates, and they'll only continue to go down. They've had really good reason to make them high, though, right? Because we want to counteract inflation. But that aside, why are you voting for Trump?
I was actually going to ask you why you're voting for Kamala.
Of course, great question. I don't think I've answered that question yet this live. So
Go
there's
all
gonna be two main categorical reasons why I'm voting for Harris over Trump. The first main reason is gonna be character. The second main reason is going to be policy. Let's start off in character, okay? So Trump is a racist, sexist, misogynist, pathological liar that has attempted to stage a coup to overthrow our government and rig an election to circumvent our civil and electoral processes. And he's also a rapist. Okay, when he was president, he wanted to impose a Muslim ban, essentially stating that he wanted to ban anybody that was Muslim from entering into our country. He elected justices to the Supreme Court to launch a legal attack on the rights of women across America, putting the access to healthcare for all 170 million American women and girls on the line. And I mean, we could continue to reference other attributes of his policy as well, of his character as well. Those are just the big ones. Theolof, I appreciate you for the galaxy. Maybe something else we could say here, as he continually places himself above the country. He continually places himself above the American people. He's an advantageous, narcissist, pathological liar that's willing to do whatever it takes to stay in the limelight. And we see that continually, right? With like the southern border, he told Republicans not to pass good legislation that would have ended the crisis, then turns around on campaigns on ending the crisis to get him more votes. He has not attributed any of the economic successes in the stock market and the all-time highs to the Biden and Harris administration over the course of the last couple of years. But of course, as soon as we have a 2-day correction where it goes down, all of a sudden it's a Kamala crash. He denied the outcomes of the 2020 election with literally no reason, even though he knew he lost because he wanted to stay in power. And then when we look at policy, right, Kamala Harris just objectively has better policy than Donald Trump. She has an economic plan where she knows how she intends to pay for it and who it will benefit. That being 100 million American workers in the low and the middle class by offering them tax cuts. Trump has an economic plan of a regressive tariff system where the low and the middle class will be disproportionately effective in a negative manner. This will cost $3.4 trillion over the course of the next 10 years, and he has no fucking clue how he's going to pay for it. And yeah, maybe that's a good place to start.
Okay, thank you for that. I really just wanted to come on here because I have heard not a one smart person say anything good about Kamala on both sides. Honestly, on both sides. And you seem intelligent, so I was just curious about your thoughts because I've never heard a smart.
I should say her name is pronounced Kamala.
Saying that to me?
Yeah, it's Kamala. No biggie though. You seem like respectful. You probably just didn't know how to correctly pronounce it. But go ahead.
Sorry about that. I was just curious. That's kind of it. I wasn't really here to debate. I was just curious about your full opinion.
Yeah, I understand you're not here to debate. Do you mind if I ask you one question before you leave, though?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Would you vote for someone that's been held civilly liable for like the violent sexual abuse of a woman?
No.
Okay, so Trump has been held civilly liable for the violent sexual abuse of a woman. And that alone is a really good reason not to vote for him, not only because we'd expect good morals, good virtues in such a leader in a high-ranking position, but also have rebounding effects on like American women, socially speaking, because we're supposed to stigmatize bad people like rapists. We're supposed to societally limit the amount of opportunity that they have to be in positions of power. All of these would serve to disincentivize men from partaking in that action moving forward. But when we turn around and we look at a rapist and we say, well, we're not going to limit their power. In fact, we're going to vote them into the highest-ranking position of power known to mankind. What do you think that does? That reduces the disincentivization towards shitty men from raping women. Then not to mention the fact that we see a lot of people will continuously deny the fact that he's a rapist and victim blame, which also turns around and tells men that they could go out, rape women, be held accountable for it in a court of law, and still be accepted into the social circles around them. So that alone is a really good reason not to vote for Trump.
I kind of agree.
Right. And are you pro-choice?
See, I have both sides' views on that.
Okay, like, let me guess. You would never get an abortion, but like maybe you think that other women should have that right, or like, what's your view? You tell me.
I think that if someone was raped and they had to have the kid, yes. But there are some people out here that abuse it.
How so?
And use it as birth control and use it disgustingly.
What do you mean by that?
I think, see, this is where my right side comes in. I think that it is kind of gross to go out there, fuck a bunch of people, and know that you have a chance of getting pregnant, and then get an abortion once, twice. 3 times, 4 times.
Okay. All right. Well, here's where I kind of fall into the picture. I don't really care if like you're a 50-year-old married woman with a lifelong partner and he is using a condom and you're on birth control and you happen to get pregnant. You should deserve the same access to healthcare that an 18-year-old girl would deserve after she goes out and sleeps with 100 men during the weekend. I don't give a fuck about your individual circumstances. I think that all women deserve the same access to healthcare. Literally. And I think that legislating against that serves as a detriment not only to those women, but also to their children. I mean, you're making the argument that apparently we have this group of women that are being so irresponsible and just engaging in intercourse with everybody. First of all, men have higher body counts on average. It's the men that are more irresponsible. Second of all, what do you think that's going to do to their children that you're now forcing them to have? You want to force unwanted children into unready households to be raised by parents that don't want them, nor do they love them? Come on. And then another point here, even if I just assume your view, say, there's so many people engaging in reckless, irresponsible intercourse, and they're abusing our healthcare system and getting abortions. Well, I think that smoking is reckless and irresponsible. I think that smoking is pretty gross. But I still think if someone smokes that they should be able to go to the doctor and seek chemotherapy to terminate the life of the lung cancer that they may have gotten. I think that the main issue here is going to be more so educating the youth on what sex is and what it leads to and how to engage in it responsibly, in comparison to trying to disincentivize them from doing that by forcing them to have children.
I agree. I don't know. I just have left and right opinions, and I just wanted to see yours and see where mine could be wrong, and yeah.
Okay, well, I appreciate you for coming up, Katie. Have a good rest of your day.
Of course, you too.
All right, we're going to move on to our next guest here, y'all. So everyone just give us a minute. We're going to get our next guest up literally right now. If you guys want to support me, my Venmo, my PayPal, they are in the bio. We're having a good day of debates today. Yo, Lily, thank you so much for the $60 on Venmo, saying all women deserve the same access to healthcare. I absolutely agree with you. I literally couldn't agree less. Thank you so much for the $60. That is like insane. I want to get at least 500 W's for Lily down below for the $60 on Venmo. That is so incredibly kind of you. Your donation and the donations of everyone else hanging out with us on the stream today do allow me the ability to continue to do these, and I really appreciate it. Let's get some W's for Lily down below. And Hannah, thank you for the $5 on PayPal saying great debate. I really appreciate you for that, Hannah. W's for Hannah as well. Thank you guys so much, but massive W's for Lily. We're going to move on to our next guest. What's up, Jen? How old are you? Okay, seemingly Jen is driving, so we're going to move on to our next guest. Everyone just be patient while we're kind of getting them up here. If you guys do want to come up and debate, hop in the queue. All right, let me know. We're going to get our next guest up in the box literally right now, folks, so everyone be patient for the 6,000 people in here. If you haven't already, hit that follow button. If this button right here is red, hit that shit, make it turn white. I do these debates every single day of my life, and I have a hell of a good time doing them. So, yeah, if you want to follow along, maybe hang out with me tomorrow, hit that follow button so you know when I'm streaming tomorrow. What's up, Randy? Are you voting for Trump?
No, I'm not. I'm from Denmark. I'm just following up, so you can just hang me up again.
Appreciate you for the love. We're going to move on to Cameron and W for Denmark. Denmark is a very beautiful country. We're going to move on to our next guest literally right now, folks. Everybody hang in there. Honestly, if you're MAGA, just let me know in the comment section. It makes it a bit easier for me to pull you up. And nobody leave. Just be patient while we're getting our next debate going here. Makes it a lot easier for me to pull you up if you're letting me know in that chat. All right, moving on to our next guest here. Let's go ahead and start inviting people up. We have 2 invitations sent and someone loading up. Awesome, here we go, guys. What's going on, man? How old are you?
Hi.
Hey, how old are you?
Can you hear me? I'm 19.
Okay.
Same as you.
Your mic quality is terrible. It's nothing personal, unfortunately. I am going to move on. All right, guys, if you're voting for Trump, let me know in the chat. Everyone just give us a minute. All right, we're going to get our next guest up in the box literally right now, folks. Everyone just give us a minute. I'm inviting so many people up that are spamming MAGA in the chat. This is unreal. What's up? Are you voting for Trump?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And how old are you?
I'm 22 years old.
Awesome. So why are you voting for Trump?
Man, I got a laundry list. I mean, I could go on all day. There's a handful of stuff. The border crisis, energy policies, stimulus spending, our Afghanistan withdrawal.
How about we talk about those real quick? You say you have a lot of points. I'm gonna rapid fire to them all. Border crisis continued to occur because Trump shot down legislation in the House and the Senate. Trump literally caused the continuance of the crisis. Energy policy, we're producing more oil here at home in America today than we ever have been before, including under Trump's term, because the Biden-Harris administration has approved more drilling permits on federal land. Your third point, stimulus spending. There's literally more stimulus spending under Trump than Biden and Harris.
Well,
What else?
I mean, if you, I don't know about that. If you look at
Trump passed a $2.3 trillion stimulus spending bill. Meanwhile, Biden and Harris passed a $1.9 trillion stimulus spending bill.
And you don't
Trump
think
added twice as much money to our debt to the deficit than the Biden-Harris administration did, including non-COVID related expenditure.
and you don't think that that has anything to do with inflation at all.
Did like the stimulus spending cause inflation? Yeah,
You think
but the
it had
stimulus
anything to
spending
do
was
with it?
necessary to prevent it.
And so you don't think that it was the timing of it was wrong. It was 2021. It was March 21. Within the first year of the presidency, they spent $1.9 trillion for COVID relief. And at the same time with all of this, we also have a handful of ridiculous vaccine mandates and mixed messaging on all different sides of media, whether it is CNN, CNNBC. I mean, flooding the media with.
I don't think that the American Rescue Plan, right, Biden and Harris's stimulus bill caused additional like unnecessary inflation because
It's
the US has
$1.9 trillion that goes back into the economy, and the result, I mean, yeah, it leaves the cost of living for Americans high. It's any type of money that's in circulation with the economy, without a doubt, causes some form of inflation or deflation on the economy. And so
well, I mean, your hypothesis is disproven by empirics. The U.S. has had the quickest rebound from the inflation onset by the pandemic out of any other country in the G7, first of all. And then even if we accept your hypothesis as being true, government spending equals inflation, Trump would have caused twice as much inflation than Biden and Harris, as he added twice as much to the debt.
Trump added twice as much to the debt, but where was that money going to?
It was going to tax cuts for rich people. 1.6 trillion literally went to tax cuts for people making over $400,000 a year.
That's because those people are paying for people who don't want to work.
Arquiel, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo. Wasn't going to vote this year, but you and Parker changed me to vote for Harris. I really appreciate you for the love. Let's get some W's in the chat. I really appreciate you.
Now, here's the big thing. I'm not.
Meanwhile, the legislation passed under the Biden-Harris administration went into the pockets of the low and the middle class. I can name 4 policies that they influenced to get passed that disproportionately benefited the low and the middle class more than rich people.
So
The FACT Act, the Chips and Science Act, the Infrastructure Bill, the Inflation Reduction Act. Can you name one policy that Trump influenced to get passed while he was president that benefited the low and the middle class more than rich people?
One policy that benefited the low and the middle class?
More than it benefited rich people.
Well, where do you fall? Do you fall in the high class?
No.
Were you paying more? Were you paying more for groceries? Were you paying more for gas? Were you paying more during Trump's presidency? And I know before we even get
there was lower rates of inflation and lower price and the lower costs for the price to live under Trump's presidency. That doesn't answer my question though, because my question was, can you name one policy that he influenced to get passed that benefited the low and the middle class more than it benefited rich people?
You think that every policy that he puts in place is going to benefit the rich people more than it's going to benefit the low and middle?
I actually didn't make a statement. I asked a question. Can you respond to the question?
Yeah, ask me the question one more time.
Can you name a policy that Trump influenced to get passed that benefited the low and the middle class more than it benefited rich people?
Gosh. Yeah, probably. I'd have to look. I mean, I'd be curious to do research. I don't know it off the top of my head.
Phenomenal. So earlier when you asked, well,
But you're saying that you're telling me that the president. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So earlier when you were asking me, well, where did the money that Trump spent go? Well, it went to policy that disproportionately benefited rich people. Meanwhile, the half as much money that's been added to the debt under the Biden-Harris administration, where has that gone? Into the pockets of the low and middle class, into the pockets of veterans, into the pockets of parents, into the pockets of individuals working manufacturing jobs. And what do they want to do if Harris is reelected? Right, create additional tax cuts for 100 million American workers, once again, in the low and middle class. So what's more important, stimulus towards the majority, stimulus to those that are worse off, or Trump wanting to replace federal tax income with tariffs that are regressive and would actually serve as a detriment to the low and the middle class and more of a benefit to rich people?
So you think that the low and the middle class is going to suffer more under the Trump administration than they will during the Biden administration?
No, than they would under a Harris administration. Yes.
Okay, so then how does
110%?
So then, okay, let's jump into another one of my topics then. I guess that you talk about the low and the middle class and how deeply Kamala Harris cares about it, and we can get into the border policy because I'd love to. Because if you do care so deeply about that, well, you said, where are you from, Colorado?
Yeah.
Are you close to Denver?
Yeah.
How are the streets of Denver?
Like downtown Denver.
Sure. I mean, how is the drug problem in Denver? I mean, have you been to Pennsylvania or have you been to Philadelphia?
Sorry, you can't. I think you can't even say that word on TikTok Live. I got an age restriction for that last time. Feel free to hop back in the queue. But to answer your question, it's all right. You know, like Denver's never been the best, like in like downtown Denver, but like you know everywhere around Denver is pretty good. What's up, George? How old are you? All right, George is not here. We're gonna move on to our next guest. Here, everyone. Just give us 1 minute. We got JT loading up in the box. Yeah, dude. To be fair, I thought that you could say DRUG on the live, but then like that's why I had it in last time because it got me age restricted, and someone didn't say the name of a DRUG. They just said that word. So we're just kind of like testing what gets us age restricted. What's up, JT? Are you voting for Trump?
Yes, I am, Dean.
Okay. Why the hell do you want to grape us in the Oval Office?
Okay, well, first, your question says, why are you voting for Trump? I'm voting for Trump because he's the more moderate candidate, and Kamala Harris is a radical leftist.
Okay, what does it mean to be a radical leftist, and why do you think she's a radical leftist?
Well, I would say Kamala Harris has had a very, very tough week that I've seen any Democratic candidate have over the last 2 decades. For starters, RFK came out and endorsed her, the Kennedy lineage. 2, what's her name? Tulsi Gabbard, I believe. The vice president of the DNC, former vice president of the DNC, came out and endorsed Trump. And then lastly, both of the 2 points of RFK and Tulsi was over censorship.
Savannah, I really appreciate you for the $2 on PayPal. I really appreciate you for the love. So first of all, you said that, you know, like the legacy of JFK had endorsed Trump. That's false. Actually, RFK's parents, RFK's siblings came out and spoke against him, saying that he wasn't continuing their legacy.
As in politician.
And then second of all, right, RFK actually went to Kamala Harris's campaign first, and they ignored him because he's a bad person with shitty policy that doesn't deserve to be in the public eye. Of course, Trump wouldn't ignore him because Trump is willing to do anything that could potentially get him a boost in the polls. That's what Trump is like. He doesn't really care about RFK, who he is or what he's done or how he's bad for our country. Then second of all, about Tulsi Gabbard, yeah, she's a Republican. Of course, a Republican is going to endorse Trump. But if you care so much about Trump's endorsements, well, then how do you feel about 42 of his 44 former cabinet members failing and refusing to endorse Donald Trump, with Mike Pence even calling him a threat to our country, a threat to our democracy?
Oh, yeah, I love that even more. When two parties don't approve of a candidate, however they're having success, I find that much more of approval than the elitist country that we live in today. But
well, now like you're kind of flip-flopping here, because just a second ago you were touting an endorsement by a Republican, and now you're saying it's actually it's a good thing when they're on.
By what Republican?
Mike Pence and the other 41 former cabinet members.
I never mentioned Mike Pence. You said I'm touting an endorsement over a Republican.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, Tulsi, yes. Tulsi's not a Republican. She's a Democrat.
No, she is. She used to be a Democrat. She's now a Republican.
She's a Democrat.
She has officially switched her party. She officially switched her party about 2 years ago, I believe. Either a Republican or an independent. She left the Democrat Party.
She's an independent. She's not a Republican.
Great. Okay. Yeah.
All right. I just had to look it up just to, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Once again, nothing wrong with it being independent. When I came in here the first place, I said, why are you voting for Trump? I said, he's the more moderate candidate. And then once again, okay. So I'll rebuttal your claim that you said against RFK. You said RFK reached out to Kamala Harris's campaign. Once again, there's nothing wrong with, especially being an independent candidate, reaching out to the other side. And I think that's one of the biggest critiques I have of the Biden-Harris administration is that they do not want to communicate with the other side. What's going on in Russia and Ukraine, Putin has came out and said the Biden-Harris administration does not want to communicate with them at all. And it goes back to...
Wait, which one is it? Because Republicans also say that Kamala Harris caused Russia's invasion of Ukraine through communication. So is it that they don't want to communicate at all, or is it that it's bad communication? Because y'all really have to make up your mind. Then also, I don't really, understand why you tout the word of mouth of Putin, who is known to kill his political opponents, who is known to silence and oppress individuals, discard human rights, and is a literal tyrannical dictator that wants Russian expansion as a credible, reliable source, right? Maybe we just have a fundamental disagreement there. But somewhere else where we have a fundamental disagreement is the fact that you'd say Trump is moderate. How's this guy that has staged a coup to overthrow our federal government in an attempt to rig an election that wants to put the Constitution on pause a moderate? How is this fascist? How is this dictator on day one, this criminal, felon, fraudster, rapist, a moderate?
Okay, so first on you said, why would I trust the word of Vladimir Putin? For starters, let's not critique Putin because America is not wonderful in itself. Second of all,
you listen to the alternative media. Do you think Russia had a right to invade Ukraine, sir? Do you think that the mass mandates were bad? Do you think that COVID-19 was started in a lab in Wuhan?
I think it's important to stay on topic, Dean. Okay. And but to answer your question, it's important. I'm just anti-war in general.
Oh, anti-war. So then you'd be against Trump for wanting to further fund Israel to quote-unquote win the war against Hamas?
Once again, I think it's important to stay on topic. I have no problem.
No. Why can't you answer that? Why can't you answer that question?
No. I'm going to answer your questions. I'm going to answer your question. I have no problem. I have no problem answering your questions, but I think it's important to stay on track at the same time. So if you want to digress our topic that we're having,
no answer.
It's a fun conversation though. I'm pro-Israel.
Oh, so you're anti-war, but like pro war.
You could
crimes.
be pro. You could be pro country.
So anti-war, pro-war crimes. Is that your stance?
I'll rephrase actually. I'm pro, I'll rephrase. I'm pro ceasefire, but I'm in terms of the respective regions.
So then you disagree with Trump because he actually called Benjamin Netanyahu, told him not to accept the ceasefire agreement, and the DOD is currently investigating him for a violation of the Logan Act.
And then I'll rebuttal your claim again when we're talking. But to go back to answer your question, why are you voting for Trump? But I'm going to answer this question again. I'm going to answer this question again. Then we could go back. That's another point of why I'm voting for Trump over his foreign policy. He was able during his 4-year term to actually be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, something that I'm not familiar Biden has been in after putting us in 3 proxy wars.
So you care about putting us in wars?
I've answered all 3 of your questions.
Do you want to reference how Trump put us in a proxy war with Russia and Syria? Do you want to reference how Trump caused the Turkish-Kurdish war because of our pull out of Kurdistan, or the 450% increase in drone strikes in the Middle East, or maybe the Yemen genocide? Nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize but raped a woman in 1996. Nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize but sexualized a 5th grader in 1992. Nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize but says he likes to grab women by the P word without consent in the early 2000s. Nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize but boasted to Howard Stern on SiriusXM about walking into the changing rooms of half-naked teenage girls to inspect them while they change. Nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize but tried to stage a coup to overthrow our federal government in an attempt to rig an election, launching the biggest internal attack on our democracy since the Civil War. Nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, but phenomenal. And then even yourself, anti-war, but pro more funding to Israel to continue the ongoing war crimes against Palestine.
No, not at all. I don't believe that I could be pro-Israel, but not okay.
Pro ceasefire, but pro-Trump.
We're bouncing a lot. Hold on, we're bouncing a lot.
I can handle it. Can you?
No, but it's also having a correct conversation about each and every single topic. And then we could digress from that topic and move on to the next. But it's not really getting anywhere if we're just bouncing around. And then you could say a claim and then I can't respond to your first claim because I also got to respond to your second one. But first claim, right? And I hope we can end this and then get back to the conversation about why Trump is a more moderate candidate. First one is, I forgot. I'll respond to your second one that I can remember. What was your last statement? Regarding the war, that's what it was, Israel. That I could be pro-Israel, right? But at the same time, respect that Palestine deserves its peace as well.
So would you disagree with Trump, not wanting Netanyahu to accept Harris's proposed ceasefire agreement?
Restate that claim?
Would you agree with Trump in the sense that he's anti-ceasefire, pro-funding Israel to destroy Hamas?
What would, out of his previous statements that he said, would make you think he's anti-ceasefire?
Yeah, New Jersey. He was in New Brunswick, New Jersey, I believe. He gave a statement, more so a speech about Israel, about how he wanted to continue to fund Israel so they could, quote unquote, win the war against Hamas. He said before that he wants them to
Hamas
finish
is in
the job,
Palestine.
finish what they started. And he called Benjamin Netanyahu and told him not to accept the ceasefire agreement because it'd be bad for his campaign. And he's currently being investigated by the DoD for a violation of the Logan Act for doing that.
Okay, first one, Hamas isn't Palestine, right? I said that Palestine deserves its peace, but the funding of Israel should remain within the United States. Your third
Sure,
statement,
I agree. I was just using like language that Trump used. I would agree that they're not like actively engaging in a war against Hamas. They're committing war crimes against innocent Palestinians. So
Yes,
maybe we could meet there. Awesome.
Yeah, and then he's also had numerous statements as well, talking about how the moment he steps into office. Now, I'm not saying I absolutely agree with this, but that the war would be over, right? So when I talk about anti-war,
Yeah, and he said that he won the outcome of the 2020 election. Did he? No.
Right,
Did he, when he was campaigning in 2015,
Okay,
he said that he was going to pass an infrastructure bill. Did he? No. When he was running and campaigning in 2015, he said that he was going to build a wall. Oh, you want to talk about the election? Go for it.
I love that. Boom, election. Let's bring this back to why Trump is the more moderate candidate, right? So as I was saying, how Tulsi Gabbard, a Democrat, former vice president of the Democratic National Convention, RFK, lifelong Democrat.
Okay, can we like stay on a fucking topic? You're kind of annoying the shit out of me. I've already responded to both of, so I'm going to clarify here. Just listen to me. All right, I've already responded to both of those points. I've already responded to the point about Tulsi Gabbard. She's like insane.
Well, because you cut me off.
No,
it was leading somewhere. I said that
cutting me off. You've been cutting me off, and you actually are currently cutting me off. I've also responded to the point about RFK, right? But I have a question for you. Do you think that Trump won 2020?
Do I think he won 2020? I don't believe he won 2020, but I don't believe the election was fair, which is why I was segueing that before you cut me off.
The election was fair. It was the most fair election in election history. There's never been a safer election than the election in 2020. Absolutely so. All right. Trump even formed his own. Okay. Why would you say that?
Okay, as I was saying, Kamala Harris has had a horrible week this week.
No. I want to know why you think that the outcome of the 2020 election was unfair.
Yes. Once again, you cut me off. So I mentioned RFK.
Kamala Harris having a quote-unquote horrible week has nothing to do with the 2020 election.
Endorsements. Yes, it does, right?
Tulsi Gabbard and RFK have nothing to do with the 2020 election.
Yes, it does.
No, what the fuck? Okay, no, slow down. We're going to go point by point. No. We're going to go point by fucking point, because what you're attempting to do is just overwhelm me with words, points, and just expect me not to respond to all of them, but you're failing, okay? It's called gish galloping. So you said that Tulsi Gabbard has to do with the outcome of the 2020 election being unfair for Trump. Can you explain to me how Tulsi Gabbard has anything to do with the outcome of the 2020 election being unfair for Trump?
Yes, no problem. Both of these candidates, former candidates, former candidates, Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard, they both have left the Democratic Party, stating that their party has fallen and has endorsed Trump over the particular, which is why I wanted to respond to your prompt. Why are you voting for Trump over?
No, you're not answering my question.
Yes, I am.
My question.
All you have to do is
you're literally
not. 5 more seconds.
You are literally not answering my question.
They left the Democratic Party over censorship. And what we received in this last week is Mark Zuckerberg's letter to Congress stating how the Biden-Harris administration censored the 2020 election. Censors COVID information is absolutely fact. Censored COVID information and
literally false.
The hiding of the Hunter Biden laptop scandal.
I'll go ahead and explain to it all.
That pertains to the election. Yes, I want to hear your response to this.
Yep, super false. Yeah, so what we're going to be referencing here from Mark Zuckerberg isn't the U.S. government censoring information about COVID. It was the U.S. government asking them to censor misinformation about COVID because misinformation about COVID led to more innocent people dying, right? And there's absolutely like nothing wrong with doing so. And in fact, I don't see how this could be unfair to the outcome of the 2020 election unless you're saying that it was unfair because more people didn't die. Like what? I don't even know what you'd be referencing there.
So
then the second point, right? If you'd say that censoring misinformation about COVID during the pandemic saving more innocent people, how is that unfair to the outcome of the 2020 election?
Okay, you made 2 points over one statement I made. I said the 2020 election, COVID information, and the Hunter Biden laptop.
Okay, so what information did they ask Mark Zuckerberg to censor about the 2020 election?
So for starters, are we taking Mark Zuckerberg's word when you're making these claims?
You're talking about Mark Zuckerberg.
Yes, and you said that he mentioned misinformation. He never once mentioned misinformation. He said that he endorsed the presidency of Biden and Harris. However, he's taking that back and will not do that in the future as he was pressured by them. He never mentioned anything about COVID misinformation. He talked about
pressured by them to do what?
to silence one party over the other. So you're assuming that
what particular censorship was he pressured into doing?
He didn't mention in his letter, which is why I'm wondering where you're getting misinformation from. It seems like you're more making stereotypes.
Because in the letter they reference misinformation about COVID-19.
He never mentioned misinformation. I'm reading it right now.
It is, yes. Why don't you go ahead and pull up the letter and you could just read this for yourself, man. I mean, it's
I'm looking right now.
exactly what he was talking about. This is even what Trump went on Truth Social and tweeted about after. One second, I'm still talking. This is also what Trump went on Truth Social and tweeted about after the fact. Like, Trump went on Truth Social and tweeted about how, they wanted to control the outcome of the 2020 election by censoring information about COVID.
Right. So not one time in this conversation I ever said Donald Trump's the perfect individual. What I'm talking about is Mark Zuckerberg's exact words. And you said he stated the misinformation. Can you please give me a quote in that letter where he stated misinformation? All it takes is a Command F.
Yeah, I don't mind looking up the letter. Give me 1 second, man.
No problem.
I typed in Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, while I'm looking this up, well, maybe you could explain one other thing to me.
Yes, no problem.
I have to find the letter. Mark Zuckerberg letter.
Command F yep, I fucked that up, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I don't mind looking through this because I'm gonna have to find it and then read through it. This is probably going to take a minute. But while I'm specifically looking through the letter, what I just simply ask of you here is to explain to me how it is the case you would say that Trump is moderate when he tried to rig the outcome of the 2020 election. How can you say that someone that has attempted to launch a coup on our federal government and overturn the results of an election through the use of, seemingly illegal and inappropriate means by ignoring or wanting to ignore the voice and the votes of every single American citizen that voted would be moderate? Okay, did he get raptured?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I'm waiting.
Okay. Yeah, I can answer you. Yes, I was connected. I think it's important.
Okay, MAGA Mobile.
I'm a big voter ballots about the election. I have no comment on it.
Okay,
but
MAGA
I believe
Mobile.
when I'm talking about that, the election was definitely unfair.
Yeah. Also, I got your quote.
MAGA Mobile is working, not working.
I got your quote from the letter. MAGA Mobile. So here's a direct quote. Quote, when confronted with a deadly pandemic, the administration encouraged responsible actions to protect public health and safety, the statement said. Quote, our position has been clear and consistent. We believe that tech companies and other private actors should have to take into account the effects their actions have on the American people while making independent choices about the information they may present. And in the letter, the latest, right, and basically insisted, right, and asked from the federal government to Mark Zuckerberg and Meta to diminish misinformation surrounding COVID. And this is particularly coming from, quote unquote, Zuckerberg says he regrets caving to White House pressure on content from Politico. Happy I could give you that direct quote. Anyways, would you vote for someone that has attempted to launch the biggest internal attack on our government, on our democracy, on our and has attempted to rig an election before?
Can you state the misinformation quote one more time?
I gave you the source, man. Once again, once again, this coming from Zuckerberg says he will regret caving to White House pressure on content from Politico, with the exact quote being, I could find it again. When confronted with a deadly pandemic, this administration encouraged responsible actions to protect public health and safety. The statement said, quote, our position has been very clear and consistent. We believe that tech companies and other private actors should take this into account, the effects of their actions have on the American people while making independent choices about the information they present.
Yeah, where's misinformation? Our position has been clear, taken into account. He never said anything about Republicans spreading misinformation.
Yeah, the quote-unquote responsible actions to protect public health and safety that they were referencing was diminishing the spread of misinformation pertaining to the pandemic.
That's not quoted by Zuckerberg. That's the only problem.
Yeah, that's the inference of the language, right? Like, that's a very fair inference of the language.
Towards our position has been clear and consistent. We believe tech companies and private actors should take into account the effects of their actions have on the American people while making independent choices about the information they present. There's nothing about that, about one party spreading more misinformation than another. In fact, that he said that he feels pressure that he caved to the Democrats in the first place. So if there was misinformation in the first place, why would he feel apologetic over caving to the Biden and Harris administration?
I'm confused on your question. Can you repeat that?
That Zuckerberg in his letter never stated once anything about misinformation by the Republican candidacy, as you stated earlier. And even if he did,
what my claim was is that they had asked him to reduce the spread of misinformation pertaining to COVID, and you asked me for a quote. I gave you a quote.
Right, and then they also asked them as well if we're because
this is also coming from the White House. Like the White House issued a statement defending the administration's approach to COVID-19 information in response to Zuckerberg's appeal to the House pertaining to his letter. Like this is incredibly clear. So like what happened was the federal government went to Mark Zuckerberg, went to the owners of like these tech billionaires that own these companies, and essentially like asked them, like, we understand that you guys should have control over like the American people, and you should be able to make independent choices about the information that you present on your platforms. Yet, like, you seemingly should take responsible actions to protect public health and safety by diminishing like the spread of like misinformation pertaining to the pandemic, to save the lives of innocent Americans. And now your response to my claim is well, it is in a direct quote. I'm making an inference. Yeah, it's an inference and preponderance of fact.
Now, why do you take the White House's word on misinformation over Trump's?
What do you mean? I take the White House's word on misinformation over Trump. I'm not taking the White House's word. I'm not taking a position on the issue. I'm explaining to you what Mark Zuckerberg's letter to like the federal government was. You asked me where in Mark Zuckerberg's letter did it reference like censorship of like misinformation about COVID, and I just referenced that for you. I'm confused on what your question is. Maybe you could repeat it again.
Yes, right. So I'm curious on why are you taking the Democratic Party, or let's separate that, the Biden administration's subject on misinformation over the Republicans' belief on misinformation over one another when...
Does anyone understand what he's trying to say here? I don't. I don't understand the question.
I'm asking, so both parties are labeling that one, on the context of COVID, has spread information over another. Why are you taking the Democratic Party?
Oh, yeah, because, of course, right? Yeah, because one claimed that it was misinformation to say that the vaccine was ineffective and the vaccine saved lives, and the other said the opposite. That's because the Democrat Party had science to back their claims. The Republican Party didn't, particularly Trump. He just claims whatever he wants to. He's anti-science. He does the same thing with climate, science as well. He says that there is no climate change caused by humans, and the Earth is going to get colder. We just don't know it yet. Literally anti-science. It's literally science versus anti-science. Intellectualism versus anti-intellectualism.
Okay, and then when we play the lie, but if we're going to play the lie game, the Biden administration contacted Mark Zuckerberg, stating that there was Russian interference involved with the Hunter Biden laptop scandal, which was just proven false, as he had a court case with numerous amount of felonies involved. So what are your statements towards that?
If the White House contacted Mark Zuckerberg stating that there's Russian interference to do with Hunter Biden's laptop, I think that they'd be operating on the preponderance of evidence suggested at the time being. We now know that the operation is false. I wouldn't say that a judge would be lying when they convict someone in court of being guilty for a crime when in all reality the defendant was innocent, right? Because they're operating off of a standard of a preponderance of evidence, right? As we can see, though, a preponderance of evidence would now suggest that it is the case that is not true. But I'd love for you to answer what question I have for you now. Would you vote for someone that's attempted to stage a coup to overthrow a federal government in an attempt to rig the outcome of an election before?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, so Donald Trump has done those things. So does this mean that you will not be voting for Donald Trump?
No, he has not.
Yes, he has. So he attempted to stage a coup to overthrow a federal government and rig an election by sending fake slates of electorates to 7 different states to cast fake certificates of ascertainment to Congress to be counted as real. He told Mike Pence to ignore the vote from the American people, to ignore your voice, to ignore my voice, to ignore the voice of everybody that voted, and accept these fraudulent fake certificates of ascertainment made by him and his team to reinstate him as a rightful president of the United States of America because he thought the election was stolen from him. And the evidence for my claim is, Trump's own argument. So Trump is currently arguing to the Supreme Court that these are things that he did alongside his legal team, and he's seeking criminal immunity for them by calling them an official act of his presidency. So yeah, he definitely did try to rig the outcome of the election. He took advantage of the riots on January 6th. He used them to pressure Republican senators into postponing the votes. He took advantage of Mike Pence. He told Mike Pence to certify the fake certificates of ascertainment to certify him as the real president. Right? He even pressured the DOJ in the Oval Office at his desk into falsely announcing that there had been widespread voter fraud in the 2020 election when there hadn't, which caused the head of the DOJ, Bill Barr, to literally resign. He even told his chief of staff and his chief strategist a month before the election exactly what his plan would be on the night of the election, which was to stop the count and that he had won, and that all the votes for Biden were illegal and only the ones for him were legal, and he was going to claim that he had won. And of course, these were things that he did. So yeah, he definitely did stage a coup to overthrow our government in an attempt to rig an election. That is a fact.
Definitely not a fact. What I appreciate that what you've done with other viewers before I came in, you mentioned numerous amount of court cases to substantiate your claims. And what you're discussing about Trump being in the lead of a coup, there's been 3 court cases in general since then. One is a second impeachment, which he was found not guilty. One was the Mar-a-Lago case documents, which was dropped. And the third was a Georgia election interference case, which has been stalled, which no one knows what is currently happening with that case. So
you missed the Arizona, and then you missed the ongoing litigation for January 6th from the federal government, and then the third impeachment trial. But the second impeachment trial, that wasn't dropped because he was found not guilty. That was dropped because the Republican senators thought that they couldn't impeach a former president about the case in Georgia. That was stalled by his lawyers because they want it to take place after the election. About the Mar-a-Lago case. Well, first of all, he didn't drop. It was found that he did do the things, just he was immune for it, and that decision was made by a court in the state of Florida. I don't understand how that's going to be relevant to his attempted coup, though. But with all these ongoing court cases against him, and now his third impeachment, we have to understand what Trump's argument is. He's not arguing that he didn't do these things. He's arguing that he did do these things. But he should just be criminally immune from them. I mean, you could listen to his lawyer go on CNN and tell the CNN news anchor that these were fake alternative slates of electors that they sent to make false votes and send them to Congress. But there's a legal precedent set by Ulysses S. Grant, and they just wanted to make sure that Trump was reinstated as president because he rightfully won the election because it was stolen from him. He's just arguing that these things were should be legal and he should be protected from criminal repercussions from. Trump doesn't deny anything I just said. If Trump doesn't deny it, why do you?
Right. I have no problem with the president being, exempt from criminal charges, depending on the case. However, why is it that they had 4 years that they couldn't charge him with this case, but they could with numerous others? Or find him guilty with that case? Or
the litigation is still ongoing. I don't think
it sounds like
the
they don't have
litigation is relevant.
That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like, that they don't have nothing on him.
Wait, once again, I've already made it explicitly clear that all the claims that I've been saying about what Trump has done are true, and he's admitted to them, and he's seeking immunity for them. You would understand that, right? Everything that I'm saying is true. This isn't continuing what I'm saying. The ongoing litigation is to determine. One second, JT. The ongoing litigation isn't to determine if Trump did or didn't do these things. The ongoing litigation is to determine if Trump should or shouldn't be immune for these things. And there's a really strong argument to be made that he should be immune for these things because of the presidential immunity ruling from the Supreme Court. That's why these cases are ongoing, right? But once again, the point of what I'm saying here is that Trump partook in these actions that would coalesce to a coup against our government to rig an election. Do you affirm or deny the fact that Trump sent fake slates of electorates to 7 different states to cast fake certificates of ascertainment to Congress?
What I'm saying is I'm going off the court of law.
I'm asking you to respond to my question.
Such cases, not.
I'm asking you to respond to my question.
Not clear, yes or no.
It is. Do you affirm or deny the fact that Trump sent several different fake slates of electorates to send fake certificates of ascertainment into Congress? Do you affirm or deny that fact?
I can't do either if I'm not informed on it.
Okay, you're not informed on that. Would you like to be informed?
By you, not so much, but
how about by Trump's lawyer?
I'm falling for the bait, but go.
Don't worry, man. I got you. So here is a clip of Trump's lawyer arguing to a news anchor that these are things that Trump did, but he should be immune from criminal repercussion because of the presidential immunity clause as agreed on by the Supreme Court, and they were just contending the illegitimate results of the 2020 election, and that's why he tried to rig it.
Immune acts in the indictment are stripped away, that Jack Smith doesn't have a case, that this case should be dismissed on that basis. I don't think there's sufficient private conduct here to support the indictment, to support the ongoing prosecution. And that's
Even
what we're
just the
going to be
false slates
litigating
of
in front of the
electors?
district court now.
Even just the false slates of electors, you don't think that would constitute enough for a trial?
Well, we would say alternate slates of electors. And as we argued before the Supreme Court, alternate slates of electors have been a method used by previous presidents, most notably Ulysses S. Grant, to ensure the integrity of prior elections. So we believe the assembly of those alternate slates of electors was an official act of the presidency. That's what we argued before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has...
There you go. There you go. Yeah, he literally says, right, that Trump thought that the outcome of the 2020 election was not accurate, that it had been stolen from him. So then to quote unquote ensure the integrity of the accuracy of the outcome of the election, he literally tried to rig it with fake slates of electorates. And there is Trump's lawyer, right, admitting that this has been done, and then even talking about... do you know what the John Eastman memos are?
No, I'm joking. Continue, Dean. Continue.
Yeah, that's about Trump's lawyers emailing back and forth, and John Eastman is like, "Oh, you guys have to stop calling them fake slates of electors. Call them alternate with a winky face at the end."
Alternate.
Dunked. Honestly, I think I served. Dude. See, like this is like one of the topics where like no matter like how intelligent you are, no matter how much information you have access to, you can't justify this shit. You can't contend it because Trump does it.
Hold on. I came into your wonderful live with your beautiful 4.2 thousand people watching, stating why I'm voting, and it's over censorship. You've segued this off of something that is just, frankly...
No, this is not off topic. If you're voting because of censorship, how about the attempted censorship of the voice and vote of every single American voter in 2020?
But my conversation on censorship was over the last week. My conversation was over the last week that Kamala Harris has had.
You brought up the last week. I brought up the last fucking 4 years.
Okay,
it is, and I'm still waiting for your response to this, by the way.
When we talked about those 4 years, Mar-a-Lago case dropped, Georgia election interference case stalled, and this is responding what you're talking about.
I'm still waiting for your claim. I'm still waiting for your response.
Second impeachment case,
none of this responds to the fake electorates and the attempted coup.
But my point is, you want me to believe the Democratic opinion on numerous cases that he has.
This is not the Democratic opinion. JT. This is not the Democratic opinion. What did I just play you? I played you Trump's opinion. I played you Trump's lawyer's opinion. I played you a clip of them admitting that they argued to the Supreme Court that the election was stolen from them, so to certify the integrity and the authenticity of it, they attempted to rig it. Let's talk about other Republicans' opinions. Let's talk about Mike Pence's opinion. You want to do that? Mike Pence's opinion. At least he sticks to his principles. At least he calls himself a pro-constitutionalist and then actually stands for the Constitution. At least he calls himself pro-America, then actually stands for our civil electoral processes. And that is the one thing that Mike Pence has done in his life that have actually shown, his dignity, for Heidi, thank you so much for the $30 on Venmo. Massive W's down below. I really appreciate you for that love. Massive W's for Heidi down below in that chat. So do you want to respond to Trump admitting that he tried to rig the outcome of the election, or do you not want to respond?
Trump didn't admit. His lawyer said some claims.
What did his fucking lawyer say? Let's listen to it again.
You mentioned Mike Pence. Wait. Dean. You mentioned Mike Pence. Let me talk about
before the Supreme Court.
Alternative
alternate slates of electors have been a method used by previous presidents, most notably Ulysses S. Grant, to ensure the integrity of prior elections. So we believe the assembly of those alternate slates of electors was an official act of the presidency.
What was the presidency? An official act of what? The presidency? Who's the president? Crazy.
Trump. And Dean, I'm sticking to my guns.
Nuts.
I'm talking about social media internship. You're talking about election.
All right, buddy. If you're not going to respond to this shit, I'm going to move on.
What's your question?
Well, okay. Earlier you said you want to vote for someone that's attempted to stage a coup to overthrow our government and rig an election. Trump.
No, I did not say that.
Yes.
I said, you asked me the question, would I vote for someone? I said no. That was my exact response. Just like how you said,
yeah, you want to vote for someone that's attempted to stage a coup to overthrow our government.
No, I said no. I said
Trump
no,
has attempted
I
to
would
stage a
not.
coup to overthrow our government and rig an election. That means you want to be voting for
Dean,
Trump.
you asked me the question, and I said no, I would not vote for the person. And now you're saying now that I
So
said
does that
I
mean that
would.
you want to be voting for Trump?
I disagreed with you on the fact that Donald Trump rigged an election, and I was talking about the conversation about Kamala
Why the fuck would
Harris,
you?
the Biden administration doing that instead.
Why would you disagree with the idea that Trump tried to rig the outcome of the 2020 election when Trump and his lawyers admit to it?
Well, I would disagree because when we were having the conversation of election interference, you stated yourself that it was the fairest election we ever had, and that is a fact. So if that is truly the fairest election we ever had, if you stated that this is the fairest election we've ever had, how was Trump allowed to overthrow the government, do the coup, and rig the election?
It was the fairest election we've ever had because the widespread claims of voter fraud pertaining to the Democrat Party were false, and Mike Pence thwarted Trump's plan. If Mike Pence had thwarted Trump's plan, it would have been overthrown.
So, but if a president
Joyce, I appreciate you for the $10 on PayPal. I really appreciate you for the love. Let's get some W's for Joyce down below. I really appreciate it. Go ahead.
But if you just stated that alternate, what was the term? Alternate what?
He sent fake electorates to cast fake votes to Congress.
Yes. I like that word better, actually. Fake electorates, right? If he was able to do this successfully, get them through the polls and throughout the whole process, how was this the fairest election we've ever had if he was able to do this?
Fair point. It wasn't.
Okay, so it wasn't the fairest election. Do you withdraw your claims?
Yeah.
And then we have some middle ground on the subject.
We have yet to achieve middle ground because we've yet to reference the idea that Trump tried to rig the outcome of the election.
Well, you stated it was the fairest election that we've ever had, and you said that is a fact.
Yeah, that's an interpretation based upon.
So now I'm questioning why is that?
Oh, MAGA mobile again. Chat. Should we just?
You said Trump was able to do the first election.
I'm gonna go ahead and just have you either address the fact that you said you wouldn't vote for someone that's attempted to rig an election, and then Trump has admitted to trying to rig the election, or I'm just gonna move on. Brick wall at some point.
I'm not.
And,
I didn't.
And I understand how you'd become a brick wall. At this
I'm
point,
just using your own claims against you.
So do you affirm that Trump tried to rig the outcome of the 2020 election?
I'm just using your own claims. Do I affirm? No, I do not affirm.
Okay, if you don't affirm the fact that Donald Trump tried to rig the outcome of the 2020 election, how do you explain Donald Trump admitting to trying to rig the outcome of the 2020 election?
Once again, because you, Dean, who are very informed, stated yourself it was the fairest election we've ever had.
1 second, JT, I'm going to go ahead and ask you directly. If you do not affirm the fact that Donald Trump tried to rig the outcome of the 2020 election, how do you explain Donald Trump admitting to trying to rig the outcome of the 2020 election?
Where has Donald Trump said that?
His lawyer said.
You said his lawyer. See, the balancing. Donald Trump, even if we take what you're saying for 100% certain, Donald Trump's lawyer is not Donald Trump.
Who does his lawyer represent?
Donald Trump in legal court cases.
And when they were referencing a Supreme Court case where they tried to argue that it was an official act of Donald Trump's presidency?
The conversation we're having is not of a legal court case. His lawyer does not observe Donald Trump in general.
Yeah, no, his lawyer just blatantly said, right, that they're arguing to the Supreme Court that this was an official act of Donald Trump's presidency.
Okay, and then
so maybe I could ask you a more direct question. How do you explain his lawyer describing this as an official act of Donald Trump's presidency?
That I'm not completely informed myself and is not Donald Trump's actual words, like you just claimed it to be. Just like how you said
this is just
misinformation. It was false.
Do you understand? JT, do you understand how this is just unique and obvious denseness?
Explain to me how it is.
Yeah, I just played a clip for you of the proceedings of his Trump speaking about how they attempted to argue to the Supreme Court that they did send these fake slates of electorates to certify the outcome of the election to make sure it's accurate, and that this was an official act of Donald Trump's presidency. And right now you're trying to make the argument that this actually isn't true because it's not Donald Trump who said these things. All right, but obviously...
No, I'm saying that it's not Donald. You said Donald Trump said it, and I said it was not Donald Trump.
Yeah,
it was his
because
lawyer.
his lawyers are representative of Donald Trump and the proceedings that they attempted to achieve in the Supreme Court. Yeah, this is Donald
And then
Trump's
within a court case, are you supposed to agree and supersede every single comment your lawyer makes himself?
What? You're supposed to agree and supersede like the argument within the court case. Yeah.
No, Donald Trump's lawyer was speaking for Donald Trump's lawyer. Those were not the words out of Donald Trump's mouth as you claimed for it to be. You said Donald Trump.
So you're
said
making
these
the
things.
argument.
Don't play me a clip of Donald Trump saying these things.
Okay, so would you say if there was a clip of Donald Trump saying these things that you want to vote for Donald Trump because he tried to rig the outcome of an election?
You got a yes out of me.
Yes, I would.
You got a yes out of me.
So I just want to clarify, if Donald Trump said these things, you want to be voting for him. But because Donald Trump's lawyer who represents Trump spoke about what Donald Trump did, that you wouldn't like vote for him. I also want to let you know that Will Scharf, Donald Trump's attorney, is like still his attorney today. I just want to point that out. Like this isn't like Rudy Giuliani, John Eastman. This isn't like an attorney that he used to have. This is an attorney that he still has today because like Will Scharf down here is representing Trump.
Okay, so answering your question, the answer was yes. If you had evidence of what Donald Trump said.
He's good at playing semantics. I'll give it to him. He was good with semantics, but just not good enough. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Hey, for the 3.8 thousand people in here, we're going to go ahead and send a raid over to Parker. We're going to go hang out with him for a little bit. We've had a lot of fun on live today. So would y'all spam at Parker get a job down below in the chat? You're being too charitable, Dean. I'm in a good mood today. I don't know what to tell you. I'm in a good mood. I'm in a good mood. I was barely on live, I know, but we're just going to go coast with Parker. How about that? We're going to go pop up in his queue. We're going to coast with him for a little bit. It's going to be fun. For everyone in here, head over to @Parker, get a job on TikTok, spam Dean right in the comment section. I'm going to hop on his queue, try to coast with him. Everybody, before you leave, make sure to hit the follow button. I come on live and I do these debates every single day, and I have so much fun with them. But I'll see you over on @Parker, get a job here in about 20 seconds. I love you all, and yeah, head over. Oscar, thank you for the $11.11 on Venmo. Appreciate it.